It is going to be a busy day in about 5 minutes, Sir Angry John, as welcome back, everybody, to the Big Blue in the Bronx channel. NBA free agency, June 30th, 2023. We're about 5 minutes away from the start where all this news is going to be flooding in. A lot of things for the Nets, Knicks. Obviously, the Nets just traded Joe Harris today. The Kyrie Irving stuff. There's so much headlines and so much news that will eventually break that we'll eventually get into. So, John, first thoughts on the NBA free agency, even for your and my Knicks.
Well, first off, thanks for anyone watching tonight. We'll go a few hours into breaking down all the moves that are about to happen in now 4 minutes. And it's funny, Luca, because I don't even know what the biggest free agency storyline is yet, because there's a couple that's been floating around with either trade requests or trade rumors or signing rumors. So that's all going to probably be solved in the next 10, 15 minutes, a lot of them. You want to talk about the Knicks. Some of the stuff that's been going on, not like 5 minutes ago, but like the past few days, there's been rumors the Knicks are going to try and trade for Paul George, and, they have interest in trading for James Harden, and, there's then free agent targets. So they're going to sign Dante DiVincenzo. Torrey Craig's name has been thrown out there. So a lot of possible things that could happen for New York, but I'm just at this point going to wait and see. As long I'm kind of on the fence in my position with the Knicks. I don't think we should overpay for any quote unquote all-stars, I guess you could say.
Right.
So that makes a whole lot of sense in terms of that. And also, I want to get the right pieces to fit, because, a lot of teams, they try and build these super teams, but for the most part, it just doesn't work out. And you really need a solid team. Let's see what we can do and build further with Brunson leading the way. And if they don't live up to the expectations, then we need to reset and retool and see what else we can do.
Before we get our next guest in, we're going to shout out Joe in the chat, obviously. So, John, I thought we would bring in a Nets fan who I've also talked basketball with a lot. Unpopular Opinion Sports, Kenny from Unpopular Opinion Sports. What's going on, brother? Hope all is well.
Yo, what's good? Can you hear me?
Yeah,
yep, we can hear you, bro. Hope all is well.
I'm good, man. How y'all doing?
Doing good.
Right.
If you want to open up on your thoughts on NBA free agency, which is about to hit in a few minutes, and maybe your thoughts on this Joe Harris trade that opens up, I think, an exception for the Brooklyn Nets.
It was Harris in 2 seconds, right?
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken, yeah.
Yeah, Joe Harris pretty much had to go. The contract wasn't working, and plus the fact that you got a log jam basically at that spot with Seth Curry, and then you also have Bridges and Cam Johnson and Cam Thomas. So pretty much, that kind of takes away Joe Harris's value as far as the three-point shooter is concerned. And that's really all he does. Doesn't give you anything else really on the defensive end or anything like that. So I'm not mad at the Nets for doing that. We just got to see. My main concern is, can the Nets bring back Cam Johnson? It seems like they can or they will, but that's kind of the main thing I'm looking at as far as Nets free agency is concerned. I don't think they really are in a position to really go out there and make any type of splash move, given the fact that would have been what they would have done at the draft with those draft picks that they had. So since they didn't do that, I don't see them making any type of splash move. It looks like they're going to pretty much just, try to run back their core, which is Bridges, Claxton, and Cam Johnson.
Of course. Obviously, just Kenny just made that news. Obviously, another rumor team that's supposed to be in on Cam Johnson. Obviously, he's a restricted free agent, right, Kenny, or is he a UFA?
I believe he is a restricted free agent. But if he gets an offer, I think they have to match. I think that's how it works.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So it more than likely he's going to be back with the Nets. I don't think Sean Marks can mess that one up. I hope he can't, but I mean, you need this guy back. I mean, he's a young talent and an ascending player, in my opinion. So.
All right, folks, we've had to hit the 6 o'clock hour. Let's see. I'm going to pull up my notifications. Let's see what we got. So no official news yet.
Too.
Everybody is going to scroll through Twitter, but it was this was prior to the 6 o'clock hour. Prior to the 6 o'clock hour, about 14 minutes ago, Draymond Green is expected to sign a 4-year, $100 million contract with the Golden State Warriors, per Mark Stein of the New York Times. Mm-hmm. So it probably looks like Draymond Green will return to Golden State to fulfill his role in a last-ditch run.
Makes sense. Also, I think ESPN was the first to report it. I think it was Woj on the show they did before that the Lakers are preparing to offer Austin Reeves a 4-year deal to try and re-sign him. Not sure the actual money or how much they're offering him yet, but that is the plan for the Lakers in the latest news.
Yep. The Draymond Green news has just been confirmed by Shams Charania. Him and Rich Paul have agreed on a 4-year, $100 million contract, $25 million a year to return to Golden State. The $100 million deal contains a player option in year 4.
So let me ask you guys something, right? Because we know what Green has meant to the Warriors in terms of everything he's done for them. And I get why they would keep him, right? But does someone think that's not a little too much?
It's possible. I mean, let's look at Draymond Green's age. He's right now he's 33, so that deal would take him to about 37. I don't think he lasts the entire deal personally.
Right. Green is not a player that's obviously going to be a scorer. He's more there for defensive purposes, rebounding. He can, pass the ball as well as a good movement with that. And I'm not trying to crap on Draymond Green, but I think this made sense for the Warriors. Maybe not in terms of giving him that 4-year big contract, but in terms of for Green, I don't think another team was going to offer him that, and I think he knew that once he decided to test the market originally. That when that news broke a week ago, because the Warriors do need him, and Green needs to stay with the Warriors. I don't think he provides much value to other teams, in my opinion.
Yeah, he doesn't. And basically, it's the fit factor.
Right.
Some players are just fit for certain teams, and Draymond is a fit for the Warriors. You have Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. So you need a guy like Draymond. I mean, I'm not trying to take a shot at Klay or Steph, but Draymond's kind of that bully dude that kind of keeps other tough-minded players off those guys. You know what I mean? If that kind of makes any kind of sense, you know what I'm saying? That's why I think that having Draymond on that team is important. You're a Knicks fan, Luca. So
yeah,
we both are. Yes.
What about Oakley and Mason? How they protected Patrick Ewing? You know what I'm saying?
Yep,
Patrick
definitely.
Ewing wasn't really that type of dude. You know what I'm saying? It was Oakley and Mason. And you could think also not taking a shot at Jordan either, but he had guys like Dennis Rodman, Horace Grant on that squad. To Ron Harper was another feisty dude, so you need those type of guys that to blend with the guys that are more those public figures, as I would call them.
Yeah, definitely. Draymond's that veteran leader that the Golden State Warriors love, and just the fans love him. They love having him back. But just one comment quick here. What's going on, Potato? Was Luka Doncic freed yet? Potato is a Mavericks fan. What's going on, Jets Miss Mess? Another little thing of news here. This is it's rather minor as opposed to one we were just talking about a few minutes ago. Trey Lyles, power forward, has agreed to return to the Sacramento Kings. So he'll be back as their backup stretch four behind Harrison Barnes. They just extended recently. So it's a nice deal for them. Don't know the contract details as of yet. But good signing from the Kings.
One thing I did, I wanted to get the opinion of, especially because of the New York team, the Obi Toppin rumor to the Indiana Pacers. What's like the overall thoughts that it happens, or if you're the Knicks? Because I remember last was it one last show or 2 shows ago that that we did the Knicks mock off season.
I think it was the last show, but I hate to
Last show.
interrupt you, John, because there's 2 more things that I got to break out. First off, Karis LeVert is returning to the Cavaliers on a 2-year, $32 million contract. Former Brooklyn Net returns back to Cleveland. So, big key player for them, obviously getting to the playoffs, but nice bench scoring for Cleveland returns.
Yep, I agree. I like them bringing him back. I always wondered what would have happened to LeVert if he never got that injury, to be honest.
Right.
I wish he was still on the Nets, man. To be honest with you, like,
he'd be a very good fit for Brooklyn. I like his game a lot, and you know what? He provides he's probably Cleveland's best scorer off the bench. So,
absolutely.
If you're Cleveland, you're obviously looking to go further in the playoffs past the first round. You need to, guys that work for you, you got to keep keep building up. But another piece of news with the Los Angeles Lakers, as Shams is reporting, that they are finalizing a deal with Taurean Prince. No money has been announced, no contract length has been announced, but he is off the board. And also the Bulls are signing restricted free agent Colby White to a 3-year, $33 million deal. So they do retain his rights on that one.
So Bruce Brown is signing with the Pacers.
I saw that rumor. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but he just signed just now, John.
Oh, just now. Oh, wow.
Per Alex
it's going fast.
Signing with the Pacers, Alex Golden, NBA, yeah.
It is going. Everything's going fast.
How about this? Kyle Kuzma has cashed in 4 years, $102 million to return to the Wizards. So it is all breaking out right now.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Get this all up as quick as possible.
Yeah.
So we got Bruce Brown to Indiana.
Mm-hmm. Kuzma's returns in the way. I'm a little stunned on that one. I didn't think they would offer him all that. I thought they would want to kind of tear it down.
Kuzma deal. Wow. Kuzma got paid, man.
Let me guys ask you this. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think Kuzma's kind of a bit overrated.
I think so too. Honestly, I really do.
Like Kuzma's kind of a perfect 6-man for a team.
Right.
That's what I think his role should be. But I was going to ask, how many people do you think are actually doing this, like just scrolling through Twitter or scrolling through other sources and trying to find breaking news like right now?
I mean, I've got all my notifications from Chris Haynes, Shams, Woj.
Yeah, no, believe me, I got it all too. I got every little thing I can find.
The Suns have just signed 2 players, Josh Okogie, who was one of their starting wingmen, and Drew Eubanks, who is going to be the backup center to DeAndre Ayton, because Jock Landale is going to be let go.
Mm-hmm.
What y'all think about Ayton, though?
John, you can go first.
Now, originally, my original thought process, as I said, I don't remember which show I said this, but when we were talking about Phoenix, I think it was we were discussing the Beal trade, and I said, you know what? It probably would be best if the Suns parted ways with Ayton to go replenish their depth, because we just saw a team like Denver, have a lot of good depth when their starters needed a rest, and you know what? That really does matter in my opinion. And with Ayton, his defense has been lackluster. The effort's not 100% there. So again, it's a very you don't want, I guess, as a Phoenix in their organization, they don't want to admit that maybe he wasn't the first overall pick, but
right.
I think that it would be a good idea for him to go and be traded in a package for more depth around their big 3. So,
Yeah, in terms of Aiden, I just think he lacks that killer instinct.
Mhm.
That's me personally. I think he's kind of soft. Sometimes he'll take off plays, which is not good because you're carrying the load of now he's going to be carrying the load of two superstars who are not great defensively in Booker and Bradley Beal. So he's going to have to take on an extra load. And is he prepared for that? I'm not sure. Because I really thought Aiden, I think Aiden's like a good fit for Dallas because
Mhm.
Doncic needs that rim protector, but I don't see him as a fit for Phoenix, who's trying to really, really, really contend right now. And especially that Phoenix is in like a hold with all their contracts. Bradley Beal, very high contract. Kevin Durant, like a supermax contract. Devin Booker as well. DeAndre Ayton. Like they are screwed. They can't really get any role players to help them out.
Well, that's what happens when what was it? More than negative $80 million under the cap.
That's correct.
That's really not good money management. And plus, now as a general manager, you can kiss all your draft picks away. So it's not like you guys can draft cheap depth anymore. So
No.
they kind of screwed themselves in that one, in my opinion. But yeah, in terms of Aiden, I don't know if he's going to get moved. I don't know. And I don't know who's the right team for him at this point.
Yeah, and it's kind of somewhat similar to kind of how you feel about Zion, because it's these guys have talent, they have size, pause, you know what I'm saying, and speed and athleticism, but they just they keep, whether it's injuries or just ineffectiveness, they can't seem to put it all together, man. And I'm just wondering, man, like, what does it take? You know what I'm saying? You have to play a role on a complete team, and I think the NBA is slowly starting to progress back towards that. If you look at the Nuggets, you look at teams like the Miami Heat, they have stars, but their stars aren't ball demanding. They aren't divas or, attention seeking type of players. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I think the NBA is trying to get back to, man. And that's why I think, teams are starting to re-up with their players. Like, hey, look, and players are feeling the same way. Like, the grass is not always green on the other side, especially when you're having these rules being implemented where, it's gonna hurt teams, man. If they don't re-sign their players, you know what I'm saying? So I think the NBA is really starting to take a turn here, man. And we're seeing it with free agency, man. A lot of teams are just kind of re-signing their players and re-upping. So you know what I mean? But that.
And
yeah, definitely.
Some more Suns news. They just signed Keita Bates-Diop to a 2-year, $5 million deal. And then the other news that just broke, DeAndre Jordan is returning to the championship Denver Nuggets. So those are the two new signings that just happened.
Yeah, Jordan will be a bench warmer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he can go win another ring, sure.
But in all seriousness, now obviously Kenny knows about Bruce Brown and his impact. How much of a loss do you think Bruce Brown is for the Nuggets?
I think it's a huge loss. And we were kind of talking about that with Draymond Green, as far as the toughness factor, that you get with certain players, look, man, Bruce Brown can get it done, man, on the defensive end, and he's a player that, is helpful in the locker room as well, just a glue guy. I like to call them these glue guys, we have them with the Giants, with guys like Jahad Ward last year, Julian Love, he kind of disappointed, but just guys like that, even if you look at the Knicks, a guy like Josh Hart, just a glue guy, just a guy that's there that can get it done, that's defensive, that can knock down a timely open 3-pointer, and pretty much add a spark to your team, whether it be starting off the bench. So it's gonna be missed, man, and it's definitely gonna hurt Denver more so in the playoffs, because Denver, And a lot of the reason why I question Denver is because they've been kind of a fickle team. You know, they've lacked toughness, you know, and guys like Bruce Brown and even what's my man's name? Gordon brought that to Denver this season. So it's a big blow for Denver, man. And with the Pacers, I think that's him just chasing the money, you know what I mean? Because Indiana ain't going nowhere, man.
Yeah, they're a bit of a young team. They'll need some veteran leadership.
I mean, they could
go ahead, John.
They could I don't mean to interrupt. They could maybe squeak a play-in spot or maybe a late playoff seed at best. Because you really never know with like some of these teams that like come out of nowhere. Like, I mean, look at like Sacramento from last year. I mean, nobody had them even touch or sniff in the playoffs, but you know, they third in the West. So I get it. And going to your point, I like how you use the term glue guy for Bruce Brown because, you know, you don't expect this guy to like, you know, put up 25, 30 points a night, but you do expect him to play solid defense, especially on the perimeter. He's got a big body, so he can handle some of the bigger forwards. You know what? Just knock down perimeter shots and get open for your playmaker, Nikola Jokic. So I think it's it was tough to see him go off Denver. It's going to be a big loss for them, but you know, he goes to the Pacers and he won his ring, so he just wanted some money. So
yeah, I just wonder.
Mad at him.
Yeah, can't be mad at him. I just wonder how much the money is. But is anybody kind of else confused besides the money aspect of Kyle Kuzma re-signing with the Wizards? Because who's the lead option now in Washington since they've decided to kind of tear it down, but it's like they also didn't at the same time, because if you're doing like a full-on rebuild, obviously you're trading for Jordan Poole. That's one thing. You're getting rid of Chris Paul. But another thing is, you know, re-signing Kuzma. That's sort of throwing a wrench in the rebuild, if I'm not mistaken, because they got a lot of young guys on the team. Denny Avdia, Corey Kispert, Johnny Davis, who they drafted last year. So it's anybody else mind-boggled by the Wizards' mindset?
Well, also just a quick side note that Damian Lee is re-signing with the Phoenix Suns on a 2-way contract, so looks like he will be returning. But going back to the Wizards, you know, it's kind of they got to be in that mindset of, you know, because they've been like they've been bad, but they haven't been like, you know, bottom tier bad. And I think they realize like, okay, like, you know, we can't be we got to pick a direction. Either we got to make the playoffs or we got to try and do a tear and rebuild this from the ground up. So that's why you did see the moves of, you know, them first trading Bradley Beal, getting a Jordan Poole, and then when they flipped Chris Paul, because right now it looks like you said, Poole and I think it's Tyus Jones is their starting point guard, or maybe it's Monty Morris. But then you got Kisper and like oh my god, I'm like thinking, or they could start the kid Koulibaly. They just drafted
him too,
but you know, they're going to see what they have, and I don't expect the Wizards to be a good team. So I think they're honestly just trying to tear it down. I don't necessarily agree with giving Kuzma that contract because I don't think he's like I mean, you could get away with starting him, but I don't think like he's like such an impact player where he has to make $100 million. So that's just my opinion on that. But if you guys want to give your thoughts as well.
Yeah, it's pretty puzzling, as I just said, but I've also updated the numbers here for Taurean Prince. 1 year, $4.5 million for Taurean Prince. He's going to go playing with the Lakers for LeBron James.
That's a really good deal. I like that a lot for the Lakers. Good move for them.
Yeah, definitely. So Brown has agreed to a 2-year, $45 million deal with the Pacers.
Okay. I mean, it is only 2 years. I mean, 45 million. I mean, that's, what are you making? $22.5 million a year. So
yeah. Again,
they're gonna try. They use it to fill up the cap now, but it's not a huge deal. Where it's like, you know what? If they're not good in 2 years and they want to trade this guy and flip him,
yeah,
okay, you know.
He's probably going to be like, obviously, we were just talking about he's going to play that Draymond Green kind of glue guy role. But if you look at like the numbers from like just without knowing the cap number, $22.5 million, and you know what Bruce Brown's going to bring you. Like, don't you think that's an overpay? But you look that the cap is going up this year, so you could afford to overpay a little bit for the role players.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the beauty of it for the players because they get to cash in on, when the NBA goes up in salary. And it's been going up for like a number of years now.
Yeah.
Guys would dream at some of these contracts about 10 years ago.
Right, of course. I'm trying to find the exact numbers for the cap here. Let's see. The cap for this season is about $136 million.
Yeah.
Minimum team salary is $122 million. First apron level is $172, and then the next apron level is about $182. So I don't know what this makes Indiana right now, but I'll definitely look at their chart and see how the contract possibly could be constructed, as I still have not gotten any recent news as of yet. So obviously, guys, as well, hit the like button, subscribe, do all the good stuff. Obviously, here on this NBA Friday, NBA free agency.
So apparently Bruce Brown was a target of the Knicks.
Yes, that's true.
As that was what the rumors are. I see a lot of Knicks fans kind of a little bit bothered by the fact that they couldn't secure Bruce Brown moving to the Pacers instead. So just thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I'm not really bothered by it. I'll let John have his thoughts because Brown is obviously he's the guy who does the dirty work. We need pure shooting off the bench. Like Bruce Brown and Josh Hart are the same exact player. Josh Hart just picked up his option yesterday. So I don't really see what's to be upset about. Brown's, again, not a pure shooter. So we need scoring off the bench. You got a guy like Seth Curry, Torrey Craig, as we've mentioned, Dante DiVincenzo. Even obviously, the question is where his minutes come from. But this team needs pure shooting. This team needs pure shooters. The Miami series only just proved that. And if you remember, obviously this is relating to the Bruce Brown thing. The Pacers opened up some money today by trading Chris Duarte to the Sacramento Kings to open up some money. So the Pacers had $16 million, I think, or at least $36 million now. And then they just offered Brown the money. So they around $14 million in cap space.
Jeremy Grant to the Blazers.
Oh,
let's look at this.
5 years, $160 million.
Oh, Jesus. Good Lordy.
Oh, man.
All right. Boy, what's going on, Sox Arizona? Just want to shout you out real quick. I got to put this in the banner, and then I got to do some mental math because I want to see how much that is per.
That should 5 years, $160 million should be like 32 a year. That is.
Listen, I get that. Jeremy Grant, you want to build around him, and Damian Lillard. That's fine and well. I like Jeremy Grant as a player. That's a little bit of an overpay if you're really trying to build with Lillard.
Yeah, I kind of agree on that one. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like Jeremy Grant's game, but I don't think he's worth that money. Yeah, it's just a little.
Now, do you think they're doing that for Dame? You think they're doing that for Dame?
It
could be. It could not be.
It's possible, yes, but I don't think. I really don't think that it. I really don't think it's the right move to try and keep Dame just because they're really not going anywhere, and and that's even with Damian Lillard. I love his game. If Steph Curry didn't exist, he might be the top guard in the game. You could argue that, but with Dame, you're not going anywhere, and you do have some young pieces. You obviously just drafted Scoot Henderson. You got Simons, okay, and now you locked up Jeremy Grant. But it's like, wow, that's a big contract. I thought he was going to get maybe a sign and trade for them, but that is just a lucrative contract because now you don't even have cap flexibility in a rebuild. So it's like,
So the question is that we should really answer: are they choosing to build around Dame or Jeremy Grant?
I mean, do you honestly think Jeremy Grant's worth building around? Not saying he's a bad player, but should he ever be a number one option?
He was on the
Yeah.
Pistons. Obviously, that team didn't go
Right.
anywhere, but
That was even-
I don't
Yeah.
think he's the number one option. I think he's more of a side piece, like he was in
Mhm.
Denver,
Right.
like to play that kind of Aaron Gordon role almost. Not that he can't average like 20, but still.
Well, you know what's funny, Luca? I actually have some trade news, but it's not the NBA. It's
What is that?
the MLB.
Oh,
it's
boy.
a former Yankee, actually. Aroldis
Oh
Chapman.
no.
Aroldis
Oh,
Chapman
no.
is now a Texas Ranger.
He got traded already?
Yeah, he got traded. It just happened. It just happened.
Interesting.
That dude's
It got in
washed,
the,
man.
It got in the it squeaked in there. It squeaked in there.
Damn, I don't see it.
Interesting.
Oh,
Interesting.
Um,
But another NBA nugget: the Celtics and Kristaps Porzingis have agreed to finalize a 2-year, $60 million extension. Porzingis picked up his option for the trade this season. I think the option was around $30 million, something like that, and obviously traded to the Celtics. And now he is there for at least 2 more seasons, so he'll be in the starting lineup as a fixture.
a little minor deal. Free agent Troy Brown has agreed to a deal with the Minnesota Timberwolves, according to Calvin Andrews, of Clutch Sports. So that is another name off the board. But going to the Porzingis, I guess extension, because they already did make the trade for him. Originally, I still don't like them. I still don't like the move. I don't think it's the right fit for Boston, because they lose toughness and Marcus Smart, and he's a very good, solid defender on the perimeter. So it's like, okay, you lose that, and you gain Porzingis. Yeah, you gain a little shooting, but the defense on the front court, besides Williams, is just, I don't know. Like, do I trust Al Horford? Do I trust Kristaps Porzingis to be like? I'm sorry, not Al Horford. Trying to think who else. I got to take a look at Boston's depth chart now, because I'm thinking of someone else.
Robert Williams?
Was it? There was
Grant-
someone else in there.
Grant Williams.
Yeah. So, it was Al Horford. I'm sorry. But Porzingis and Horford, you got them starting. Do I really trust them defensively? Probably not.
Porzingis, I think, is a little overrated defensively, and I think Horford's starting to get slow on the defensive side of the basketball. What is he around? He's in his mid 30s, mid to late 30s.
I thought he was late 30s already.
I'll check how old he is. He was drafted in 07, I believe.
He's been in the league so long.
37.
37. Yeah, that's getting up there.
So a little nugget on the Jeremy Grant stuff. One main reason why Jeremy Grant did not come to an extension agreement with the Blazers prior to free agency was the chance to get that additional 5th year, sources said, what may amount to the difference of $30 million. So it could have been easily, it was, what did we say, $32 million. Now it's back to, as what was just mentioned, it could have been $30 million. Now it's $32 million. So
maybe he just really likes Portland.
I don't get the appetite.
You think so?
Maybe.
I doubt it.
Who knows?
So I want to see if this is a real source. I'm just going to double check. Evan Massey, featured on Forbes, ESPN, Yahoo, Bleacher Report, and others, has said that Max Strus is signing with the Cleveland Cavaliers on a 4-year, $64 million deal.
Yeah.
Yep, that is. Yeah, that's. I see that exact same thing. I'm just trying to figure out if he's legit. I think he is. I think so, but that's a.
Here we go. Let's throw that up. Again, what's going on, Armand and Brad? Brad says Feeble is now channeling his negativity towards his basketball team. He has not surprisingly has not been negative towards his basketball team yet.
I have not. All right, Brad, that is not true. I have been very positive on the Knicks. Okay, there has been no negativity because they haven't given me a reason to be negative.
Right.
So I will not bash them. But as I was saying, with Cleveland, you bring in Strus, and what is he? A shooter. that really does help them out, especially off their bench. Because what was that one thing when we were doing the Knicks Cavs series? What was that one thing, Luca, that we talked about that the Knicks had the clear advantage of?
When it came to the Knicks Cavs series, it was the rebounding.
Well, I know I meant like when we were just breaking it down in terms of starters bench. I was gonna obviously
Oh yeah,
rebounding.
their bench was not that
Their
great.
their bench wasn't great, but now you add, so you bring Karis LeVert back, and you're assuming he stays healthy. You bring in Max Strus, who's a very good shooter off the bench, which he helped the Heat get to the finals this year. And you still have some older. You could bring in more guys if you want to, but this is this is one of my favorite moves of the offseason so far. I like that move.
I don't know. I think Strus is a solid role player. I think he's a little too inconsistent with the shooting. You saw that a lot in the playoffs.
Yeah, and good shooters are going to have bad moments, but I think it's like Cleveland saying, "Hey, we're going to push all our chips in now. We want to win with this core. This is why we got Donovan Mitchell. Let's go get as much as we can."
Two other nuggets. This is from Jake Fisher of Bleacher Report, obviously a very reliable source. He's being told a key option for the Lakers with their MLE, the mid-level exception, is veteran guard Eric Gordon, a long-standing trade deadline target for Rob Pelinka's front office. Gordon is believed to have several offers at that range, around $12 million.
Okay.
Also, I'd like to mention that Reggie Jackson has agreed to a 2-year, $10 million deal with the player option in his second season to return to the Denver Nuggets. So no Knicks, no Nets news as of yet. Things are still brewing.
I haven't seen anything on either New York.
Oh yeah, it's gonna come soon.
But I there might be like one signing that each team does.
Well, Joe Harris got traded, so that is news.
Yeah.
Right. No, yeah, that of course that's news because that's cap space off this year, even though I think he only had 1 year deal, 1 year left on his 4-year deal, if I wasn't mistaken.
That dude was terrible. It was terrible, man.
But nothing. No trade. We haven't seen any trades yet either, so that's something to look out. I know earlier the big buzz was Kyrie Irving might be interested in the Sixers. Not the sisters, the Sixers. And then you had that, and then obviously you had the James Harden trade dilemma. So we haven't heard anything yet with either of those guys. But
so the Nets got $110 million, bare minimum by league rules in return for Joe Harris and 2 future first-round second picks.
It didn't open in some. I felt like it opened some sort of exception with your roster, if I'm not mistaken, because that's what I read.
Yeah, I think it opens up that it's some type of I think trade exception, if I'm not mistaken. It's one of those kind of weird rules in the NBA where the Nets, the Nets could pretty much sign a player or trade for a player they normally wouldn't be able to afford. It gives them some type of money exception. I'll have to look it up. But yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
It is a $19.5 million trade exception. $20 million.
Trade exception.
$20 million.
That's what I thought of. Yeah.
So Javon Carter is heading to the Chicago Bulls, 3 years, $20 million. So he'll be most likely their backup point guard. Obviously, everything's up in the air with Lonzo Ball at the moment. So
that makes sense, just because you bring a lot of toughness and good perimeter defense to a team that really lack both.
Right.
So it's not too big of a contract. $20 million is not like a overpay. So again, good solid move there. for the
Yeah.
Bulls.
He's going to be a nice piece next to Alex Caruso on the bench.
Yeah.
Two defensive demons, but they need defense in that starting lineup because it's interesting. We've all heard these rumors with Zach LaVine and all. They decide to extend Nikola Vucevic, who I think he's a good center. He's not a great center. He's kind of a wreck defensively.
He's a
So
good scorer on the inside and a good, offensive rebounder, I'd say, too.
And a perimeter shooter, too.
Yeah, he's got a touch to him, but he just can't hold other bigs. Can't.
Not at all. But it's just so weird because what was I going to say? It's that team is still kind of like mid-tier. It still hasn't broken, broken off because obviously they were bottom. I think they ended the year defensively well, but they started off really badly.
Yeah,
but
no,
Carter is definitely helped.
They hit the free fall button and just
especially when I think they went to Miami. That's obviously that when it ended the season with the play-in. Jacob says, "How are you doing, brothers? Anything Knicks news? No, not as of yet. But let's see. Shimizi Metu has agreed to. I don't know. Shimizi Metu has agreed to deal with the Suns. I don't know what the Phoenix Suns are doing. I know what they're doing, but they're signing a lot of meh role players. If you know what I'm saying, there's not one outstanding guy that they're signing because they're pretty much maxed right up against the cap with the Durant, the Ayton, the Booker, the Beal contracts. So this is like their only choice, but it's such a clusterfuck, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think the Suns book right now is, and usually it's quality over quantity, but I think they're going the quantity over quality route in this case.
Because Metu, I think, is a backup center or backup power forward.
He's a backup big man. Nothing really to it.
Obviously got Damian Lee off the bench. You've got Campaign, who's still there. Who else? Who they just signed? They re-signed a Koji. They signed another wing.
Eubanks.
They signed Eubanks, the backup center. Keita Bates-Diop, who has a chance to start. Usually Bates-Diop would come off the bench on like one of those teams, but I think he started a lot of games for a rebuilding team in San Antonio. So it's like they don't have that premier role player to like play defense alongside Kevin Durant and all those guys. So I'm just a little bit miffed by what they're doing.
Yeah, you're right, but this is again why we say like when you don't have the cap space because you're negative $80 million against the cap, and
they sold out.
Right, and then when you trade all your draft picks away, well, this is what you're resorted to. So it's not. I agree with Luca that it's underwhelming, but I have to say it is expected.
Yeah, of course. They don't really have any trade, as John highlighted earlier. They don't really have any trade assets.
Yeah, no, nothing. unless they do trade Ayton, but it doesn't look like they are. It doesn't.
Well, we'll see how it works. Good old KD, he'll bring it home for him.
We'll see. We'll see.
We shall see.
Another attempt at a super team. It's not like Harden. It's not Kyrie, KD, and Harden wasn't enough. Simmons, Kyrie, and KD wasn't enough. Obviously, Golden State, he did enough there to obviously win 2 titles. The Thunder wasn't enough with him and Westbrook and James Harden. So it's like super team after super team, and he's only won 2 titles.
It kind of puts a bad. I'm not trying to get too off topic with the free agents, but going in terms of Durant, it really does put a bad taste. Like it should on his like legacy and resume, because it's like, how many teams you're going to join like to ring chase? And I get the goal is to win,
right?
But you see so many other guys do it without a super team, and it's like, it's it's just it kind of makes you look weak.
Does.
Absolutely. I think he looks weak. Soft.
Yeah, definitely. So from about not even a few hours ago, just about an hour ago, per Michael Grange of Sportsnet for the Raptors, obviously their main network, there's optimism that a 4-year, $120 million contract would be enough to keep Fred VanVleet in Toronto. Now he's had previous he's been rumored to the Sixers. He's also been rumored to the Rockets. So I think it'll come down to the Rockets or the Toronto Raptors.
Mm-hmm.
But he's coming off a very poor season. Let me just tell you that.
Yeah, I think the whole Toronto team had a down year. Doesn't mean to say that they none of those guys can bounce back, but because when Van Vliet is at his best, he's a very good shooter and a very talented offensive player. That could definitely help out a playoff team. So, as of course, I have another helicopter go over my.
Yeah, Ian Begley, this was actually posted on New York Post Sports about 1 minute ago. Ian Begley just revealed that the Knicks will be meeting with Bruce Brown. Like, how quick was that meeting exactly? Because he literally just signed with the Pacers. Like, how can you report? How can New York Post Sports?
I see it too on SNY.
How can you honestly? How can you honestly report that? When he recently, as of 5-10 minutes ago, just signed a new deal with a different team.
Oh, my God.
And now, deleted. They deleted the tweet. They deleted the tweet.
Wow, that's funny. Daily Knicks just posted, just a little behind.
Just a little behind. So, just a couple of keep a couple of things. Obviously, no recent news as of yet, but just some headlines prior to free agency as of like 1 to 2 days ago. The Lakers are being linked to Cam Reddish and Yuta Watanabe, even though Taurean Prince just signed with them, so he might be their fit. I obviously just mentioned that Harrison Barnes has re-signed with the Sacramento Kings on a 3-year, $54 million deal to add shooting. James Harden obviously is going to be traded out of the Philadelphia 76ers. There is a little bit of optimism that he returns, but I doubt it. The Heat are expected to show interest, the Clippers and the Knicks as well, but the Knicks' interest is not uniform per Ian Begley, which means that the views on Harden are not consistent. So it's doubtful that the Knicks will end up trading for him. Josh Hart obviously opted in yesterday. He gives the Knicks financial flexibility with the non-taxpayer mid-level exception, about $12 million. Obviously, pretty much mentioned Dante DiVincenzo is one of the players that the Knicks are interested in. The Lakers are interested in Brook Lopez, which I find interesting. I think he'd be a very good fit and a very good starting center. Harden obviously opted in. We already said that. Let's see here. The Pelicans will let Jackson Hayes enter unrestricted free agency, their backup center. The Pelicans also declined the option under Herb Jones. He's going to be a restricted free agent, and they're looking to lock him up long term. And the Lakers also have multiple veteran point guards on their radar, including guys like Javon Carter. Obviously, he already just signed Shake Milton, Corey Joseph. I could see Gabe Vincent as well. But that's the recent news that we have, as well as Andre Drummond opting into his next year's option. As I got a notification, George Ace Niang has agreed to a deal with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Talk about bench scoring. Cleveland is loading up.
Yep.
Yeah.
3-year, $26 million for him, according to ESPN. As Woj actually broke this. So did his agents. Did announce it as well. But it looks like Cleveland is pushing the chips all in and saying we're going for it for the next 2 and 3 years. We're trying to get a championship. So,
very good deal.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just put that in there.
3
years, $26 million. That averages about $8.5 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
Not bad.
Maybe we should tell going back to that Knicks thing. Maybe we should tell Ian Begley he can watch our show. We might be ahead of him.
No, it's like I'm betting that Begley's segment was recorded prior to the start of free agency.
Yeah, no, I know.
But it's all good with Begley. He's good stuff. A lot of Knicks fans.
Let me ask y'all something. Can Cleveland really compete in this Eastern Conference?
It's going to be tough.
That's what I'm saying. Is
Tough.
Is Mitchell and Garland enough with the squad they put together around them? Is that enough to get it done in the East? I mean, you know, Boston, they just retooled. You know, we'll see what Milwaukee does, you know, with Lopez and Middleton free agents. So that's what I'm trying to understand. Philly, obviously, they're trying to make a move here. What's this Eastern Conference going to look like when it's all said and done? We know the West is kind of wide open a little bit, but this Eastern Conference, man, it's been kind of top heavy lately. What's it going to look like, man, when free agency is done, man? That's why this is really interesting, man. What you think, man?
Yeah, obviously Donovan Mitchell, obviously an excellent scorer of the basketball. By the way, folks, here's some breaking news. Kyrie Irving is returning to Dallas. 3 years, $126 million.
Wow.
He just sunk the Mavericks.
Wait, can you repeat the contract again?
3 years, $126 million per Shams.
So that's
I just
42
seen it
million.
on my Twitter feed. Yep.
Sunil is going to
42
be
million.
flipping out.
Yeah, it's one of our biggest supporters that did not want Kyrie, and
Wow.
oh well, he's stuck with him.
Wow.
What do we think? Too much? Not the right move? What do we think here?
It's absolutely not the right move.
I'm in
Such a
agreement.
questionable fit.
I'm in
Such a
agreement.
questionable fit for many of reasons. Obviously, Kyrie Irving is always nonsense off the court, but him and Luka Doncic together, they're going to score a lot of points, but they're also going to give up a lot of points. So I don't see the fit, and I don't see them winning a lot. To be fair, I just don't see him a fit for Dallas. I don't think Mavericks fans are happy right now. Maybe some are, but I think also like Mark Cuban kind of got scarred by Jalen Brunson leaving for the Knicks. And he said, you know what? I have to re-sign this guy. Now, Brunson and Irving, two different character types. Brunson's a lot more humble, obviously more reserved. But Kyrie Irving, obviously he's a superstar guard, but he doesn't have that superstar mentality. You don't know. I have no clue. I have no clue.
Yeah, no. That's literally and for a team that really did lack a lot of shooting, defense, and depth, that doesn't really help your odds now, because now you're like kind of in a spot where it's you got limited cap now, because you got to pay Doncic and you got to pay Irving, and they didn't build a good team around them last year. So and in terms of the Brunson thing, I think it is different in also this aspect. You know what Kyrie is with his talent and his problems, but Brunson was an ascending player that Dallas kept growing, and
right.
You know what? It sucks that they didn't. Sucks for them that they didn't cash in and lock him up when they could, and the Knicks took advantage, made the move, and they haven't looked back since.
But it's $42 million on average for Kyrie Irving. Brad says Dallas just pissed away the next 3 years. Completely agree. I don't think they're winning anything.
I don't either.
But if he would have stayed in Brooklyn, I mean, with KD, what's the difference? And now KD's chasing a ring in Phoenix, and they going out and selling the farm and, making all these weird moves. And then Kyrie is stuck in a weird situation where he's not going to be the man. And really, that team is not built for a championship. They're built to basically, sell tickets in Dallas, So that's what that team is right now. They're not winning anything. We know that. Anybody that has any kind of common sense or any type of basketball knowledge knows that you can't have two ball dominant guards on your team.
Right.
And they're not going to mesh well together. You know what I'm saying? So they both have the same skill set. They're ball attacking guards who need 3-point shooters around them to set them up. and it just doesn't work, you know. So even from a basketball standpoint, because a lot of people say, well, basketball wise, you know, Kyrie and Luka. No, it doesn't make no sense basketball wise at all.
No, I agree.
You know what I'm saying? So, hey, the Mavericks are obviously trying to sell tickets. It's clear what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
Chris Middleton is returning to Milwaukee. 3 years, $102 million.
That seems about right.
Brian in our chat, Bad Takes Brian, in our chat says, wholly overpay.
Some minorish news. The Orlando Magic have reached an agreement, according to Chris Haynes, with forward Joe Ingles. So I'm assuming that's not too big of a deal. But now with going back to the Middleton thing, I mean, would it be really worth it to lose out on him? If you're Brian or a Bucks fan, and I know it might be a little bit of an overpay, but I can understand that more because he is important to that Bucks team.
Yeah.
And he's a reason why, because when he's not healthy, that Bucks team isn't right. So I understand why they overpaid for him. Like I get that more than the Kyrie deal. In terms of
Absolutely.
the fit, because Middleton is that second scorer that Giannis needs. He's good off the dribble. He's good off without the ball. And if there's a night where the Bucks ask him, hey, can you get us 30 tonight? He can do that, and he's proven that he can do it. So,
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I think the main question remains when it comes to his injury history. Obviously, he suffered a really bad knee injury, and he pretty much wasn't the same for a good chunk of last season. So I think it's going to be obviously him getting a little bit older, and how much how healthy is he?
We got two more signings, or re-signings, I should say. First off, Jakob Poeltl has agreed on a 4-year, $80 million contract to stay with the Toronto Raptors. And then some Brooklyn Nets news. Cam Johnson is agreeing to a 4-year, $108 million deal to stay in Brooklyn.
Wow.
So, two bigger signings there. If you want to take away about the Cam Johnson deal and your thoughts.
4 years. Hold on, let me look at it.
$108 million was the contract.
4 years, $108 million. I mean, it's not ideal, but you kind of see what the NBA is doing, where it's kind of trending now. As far as Cam Johnson, I already kind of alluded earlier that he's a key part of this Nets rebuild. So you need him along with Mikal Bridges. Now we'll see what they do with Cam Johnson and some of the draft picks that they have. I think Nick Claxton may be on his way out. That's something I have speculated. That is an unpopular opinion of mine, because I think you can get that kind of same production for a lot less than Nick Claxton's going to command on the open market coming up next season. So I do believe Nick Claxton could be on his way out. So you have to attain the core, the young core of your team. I mean, you gave up you traded basically these guys for KD.
Right.
You can't just let them walk. I mean, is it an overpay? Probably, but that's what you're dealing with right now, man, because you traded these guys for Kevin Durant. How would you look letting them walk out the door? You know what I'm saying? That would be a definite a black eye on Sean Marks right now, a guy who I believe is trying to save his job. So I ain't mad at it, man. I like it. I expected it. So we'll see. We'll see what else they do, man. But watch out for Claxton. I'm telling you. And they just drafted this kid. I can't think of his name right now.
Oh, Clowney?
Clowney out of Alabama.
Clowney, yeah. So I think he could be a replacement. I wanted them to get Lively in the draft if they could have, but Derek Lively from Duke, I think he would have been a perfect Claxton replacement. But I definitely would be looking for the Nets to possibly make make a move off Nick Claxton, man. It just doesn't make no sense financially now that given that you just signed Cam Johnson to $108 million.
Yeah.
You know what's actually funny, and I was reading this earlier that I don't know if any of you knew this for the Nets, but Nick Claxton is now the longest tenured net.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
because they traded Harris. Yeah.
Yeah. After the Harris trade.
So with that, just to get to a couple of comments real quick, y'all buying the Harden to New York rumors. Ian Begley, who obviously has very good intel, says that the view from the Knicks front office is not very consistent. There could be like some members who want him, some who don't. So I don't expect it to happen. Matt says, I don't know if this happened. Yes, Karis LeVert was signed. It was a 2 years, $32 million. No deal can make Brian happy.
So literally, Jacob, go spam his inbox.
Also, folks, links here. Check out Unpopular Opinion Sports. Check out the YouTube channel. Please do. Makes great content over there. Yes, we did see Joe Ingles on a 1-year deal. I'm assuming it's the veteran minimum as Orlando continues to try to beef up in size. They have very size-heavy wings, whether it's small forwards or power forwards or whoever. They're just want to build some size. So,
right.
I just got to say, John, I'm sorry to interrupt. Our buddy Jake Simone is going off about this Cam Johnson contract. Not in a good way.
Really?
Wow.
But hold up. This is where what's his I'd love to hear his take on it.
He said the contract is going to be a disaster. Cy and Marks are horrible. He must think it's like a bad overpay or something like that. I agree with Kenny obviously saying you have to kind of retain him because you're looking to build around him and Mikal Bridges because you essentially got them for Kevin Durant. But I just wonder what offer sheet he would have been seeking. Like what the Pistons offered possibly. I don't know if they offered. But Billy Reinhart.
Think about this.
Go ahead.
Think about this real quick. If you lose Cam Johnson, is that worse than overpaying for him? Like, just think about the flip side. If he walks and you get nothing for him, and you you see what I'm saying? You gave up.
I'm in agreements more with you. Do I think Cam Johnson's worth $27 million a year? No. Do I think that Sean Marks would be like? Number one, you also have to think this. He was a restricted free agent, so you don't know what the Pistons or any other team tried to put out there for him. Then, because Brooklyn could obviously match it. But
absolutely,
you're Sean Marks, and you get rid of KD and Kyrie in a season, and like the two most important things that you get back were, besides those draft picks, Bridges and Cam Johnson. And if you let either of them walk after half a season or get rid of them, what does that really say to you as a GM, or how does that make you look? So it would look really bad on the optics, I think, more if they lost him as opposed for an overpay. I don't think it's like the grossest overpay ever because you're expecting Cam Johnson to get better because, again, it's not like Cam Johnson is like a washed up mid-30s player that, he's probably not going to get better. He's 27 years old and Bridges is 26. So these are guys that are like, have started their prime, I'd say,
and they're
like
ascending
into their own. So, and I personally, and just my belief, I think Mikal Bridges is the better of the two. But again, you had to keep both. I mean, I could see Cam Johnson scoring around 20 points a game this year. I could on this Nets team. I'm assuming they don't go crazy and go get a superstar. So I could see
it's
that.
Not gonna happen.
Yeah.
At this point, it's not gonna happen. I think what they could do, like I said, I think you have to keep an eye on Nick Claxton and also Cam Thomas. I don't know what kind of role Cam Thomas is gonna have. He's been kind of in the doghouse, but you got a guy on your bench that can score 40 literally in 3 straight games. He's a scoring machine. He has traits to really make noise in this league, and I just don't know what the Brooklyn Nets and Sean Marks are doing with this guy. And for the Nets, all their rebounding woes, Day'Ron Sharpe, man, was a offensive rebounding machine. He's another young player that they have on their team that, the Nets have had players come in. They have had draft picks. Have they had all their draft picks? No. They have a lot missing in the future, which is why they got rid of Joe Harris for 2 seconds. So that's what they're looking to get. They're looking to build in young talent, but I don't know the direction of the talent that they're accumulating right now.
Right.
Because it's kind of all over the place.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. That's why one of our buddies was upset. Our buddy Jake, who I just mentioned, obviously, about the Cam Johnson stuff. He's like, what he basically said when it came to the draft picks you guys made when it came to a Derek Whitehead, he said that pick was fine, not so much the Clowney pick. He's like, are these guys ready to contribute now? Are these guys ready to win now? Are they going to be in bench roles that are impact? That was the main question. He just talks about direction, especially after you just traded Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. Now you've accumulated Mikal Bridges, who averaged 27 points or 20-something points a game as a net, and he's only going to get better. I could see the risk with Cam Johnson, not only obviously just the money aspect of how well he played with the Nets, but he's also 27. He's an older prospect, especially that was coming out of college. So there was a risk there, but obviously I agree with you guys more. I think you kind of had to re-sign him just based on the fact you got him in the Kevin Durant trade. You don't want him to walk for nothing unless you somehow manufacture some sort of trade, but he's staying with Brooklyn. That's all we know.
Yeah. Some bigger I know we already announced it, but the Jakob Pertl re-signing the 4-year, $80 million contract with the Raptors. Thoughts on that?
Mitchell Robinson got $15 million. I think I'd say it's an okay deal, but he was actually originally drafted by Toronto. Maybe they could have used an upgrade, honestly, because right now with where the team is at, I think they're at some sort of ceiling. That entire Raptors team, whether it's Gary Trent Jr., obviously, there's young talent on that team that hasn't grown yet. Scotty Barnes had a good rookie year, but he flopped in his second season. Obviously, they've got OG Anunoby. Van Vliet's a free agent as of right now, and we don't know if he's coming back. Pascal Siakam, all-star level player, not a number one option. So there's a lot of moving parts there. But before we move on with the free agents, I'd like to welcome another one of our guests, Coach Ed. How you doing, brother?
Whoa.
Peace. I'm good. How's everyone doing?
Good. How
doing
are you?
good. Doing good.
Coach, what's good, Coach? What's up,
bro?
man?
Just busy today. That's all I can say. I'm busy, just going from one spot to another, rolling. So many things I'm doing, but here for a free agency. Knicks don't do anything stupid. That's all I can say.
That's all I prayers.
That's it. So I mean, I'm seeing some of the moves, and it's Bruce Brown is probably the biggest one that got me. So. But I know NYG, you happy about Cam, so you got one of your pieces back. So
I mean, I am, and I think I'm just interested to see what else they're gonna do. Obviously the Joe Harris thing. I think I was more happy about that than because you know how we felt about Joe Harris. So
yeah. Jeffy spoke about him all the time. So
yeah. So we had to let him go, man. But yeah, Cam Johnson, man, it was a definite move that needed to happen. And is it an overpay? Yeah, but that's what free agency is. You're gonna overpay. It's very few teams that get a bargain in free agency, So it was necessary move.
So any news on Devin? I can't say
DiVincenzo.
DiVincenzo.
Actually, yes. I'm sorry to interrupt, John, but obviously we just saw Bruce Brown got paid, and Ian Begley noted, or I should say this was actually Steve Popper. The note on Brown signing what he was told is that guys like Brown, who obviously just got paid $22.5 million over the next 2 years each, him and DiVincenzo have a chance to get paid now. So DiVincenzo might not even opt for that mid-level exception. You think he might go to another team possibly. So the price on DiVincenzo is very interesting, although he does have the Villanova connection with Josh Hart and Jalen Brunson. So that is a mystery to be yet to be seen.
You got a good point there. I mean, Brown's money does set a trend, but what I just read was the second year is a team option. So is it really a 2 year? Or is it more of a 1 year?
More of like a 1+1, honestly.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense.
My minor deal, or maybe not too minor, but the Spurs have signed Trey Jones to a 2-year, $20 million deal. So that's another free agent off the board.
Yeah, it's like I said earlier with someone else. I'm like, there's really no major unless you're talking about Harden, which Harden is. That's why I said don't do something stupid, Knicks. Harden is not the big move. I mean, if that's the biggest move that everyone is expecting, then this free agency is just it's okay. It's just it's fillers. I mean, it seems like Phoenix is probably the one that's being most aggressive right now in filling their roster because they had to. So and Kuzma. I didn't expect Kuzma to go back to Washington. To the Wizards. I'll be honest. I didn't expect that.
When you get offered a deal like that, and you're probably not going to get offered that anywhere else, I don't blame Kuzma for taking that.
No, I don't either. It's just I wasn't expecting it. So
it's baffling. But Sunil, our Dallas Mavericks fan, we obviously know just what just happened. Kyrie Irving's back. He says, and of course, fucking Kyrie Irving has to remain on the Dallas Mavericks. Fuck my life.
He wasn't going anywhere else. I mean, let's be real. I mean, where was he going to go? I mean, we all know it doesn't make the two, him and Luka together playing, just it doesn't mesh well. So, but where was Kyrie going to go to get his money? So, even though
he wanted to go to the Lakers, but
yeah,
that was
then take a pay cut.
Look,
let's be real. If you really wanted to go there and get a championship, you're going to take a discounted rate. He's not about that. He's about his money, period. So let's be honest. You about your paper. I'll respect your game if you say, I'm about my money. Who's going to pay me the most money? Okay, go do you, bro. Do what you got to do. But if you really want to win a championship, take a pay cut, bro. If it's about the championship, is it about the championship or is it about the money? It's simple. It's about the money. Yeah, exactly. So, now Kyrie, just, be quiet. Just go out and play basketball. Your political issues and everything, I respect, but it doesn't need to be too tied up to the NBA per se. There's a right time that
coach.
No, I know that. We all know that. Listen, in New York, we done seen enough of him. Even as Knicks fans, we've seen what Kyrie will do. So it's like, I get you. I
mean, even in Boston when he played for the Celtics.
You're right.
I'm not a Boston fan, but I mean that's not too far from New York. We witnessed this already with this guy. So
it's just what's going to be the next thing with him. So like I said, I'm waiting to see what's going to happen with Harden, and is Portland going to trade Dame Lillard? That's all I want to see. Is Dame going to ask for a request, and are they going to trade him? Do I think so? No. But
you heard about the Jeremy Grant news, so is that a play to keep Dame? I don't know. That's something that could be speculation. Because he got a decent deal. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. So it's all I can say is I'm watching this market and I'm interested. Once everything settles and we get through the season, is what we're seeing now going to push the market next year? I mean, it really is. It going to? Because as a Knicks fan, and that's one of the things that some Knicks fans say, let's save our money for next year to see who's out there, because Knicks fans as a whole, or for the majority, not as a whole, the majority want a superstar. I want us to build the right way, the smart way, develop your players the right way, and be a team, and then fill in where you need to fill in. But
Mhm.
you know, and by the way, trade Julius Randle. I have to get that out there. I have to get that out there.
I was about to ask you something along the
Yeah, I knew it was gonna come out sooner or later.
You knew it was coming
just
in.
about to ask you about that, but regardless, let me
Yeah.
get some comments from Sunil. He says, "I was hoping to send Kyrie on the next one-way SpaceX rocket and hope it explodes."
he's Ralph Cram to him. Bang zoom to the moon.
Can Kyrie spell basketball, let alone play it appropriately? I'm one tweet away.
I will say Kyrie is a smart man. You have to respect that. He's a smart man. Getting into Duke is not an easy thing. I mean that he's smart. Now he's a little eclectic. I will
Yeah,
say that, but he's smart. So so his cryptic tweets mean something behind it. So
I'm one tweet away from going full David Banner, Incredible Hulk. Where's my gamma radiation and Geiger? Sunil is on another level.
Wow.
Some news from earlier that's actually kind of developed per Barry Jackson. So the Max Drew signing is actually looking to be almost a sign and trade from the Heat to the Cavs, and they're reportedly looking for a third team involved. So
it's not official then. Oh, okay.
yeah, they're looking to work some sort of deal whenever they finalize the details and try and have more. As another helicopter over my damn.
Yeah, John's always getting those, but regardless, y'all think the Knicks are running Gary Trent Jr. I think it's going to be DiVincenzo or another guard like that. I think Trent Jr. is going to try to get his own bag. But I got to agree with Coach Ed here. I think this free agency, and I've said this before, this year, in my opinion, is about sustainability. The last time the Knicks made the playoffs, obviously not last year we're talking about 2 years prior, the Knicks kind of splurged before they really should have. They signed Fournier to a $18 million deal, obviously per year for 4 years, $72 million. That was a mistake. Kemba Walker was a mistake. Re-signing Nerlens Noel was a mistake. Alec Burks traded a year later. So I just don't get like some of the Knicks fans out there. They're like, "Oh, make a splash move, make a splash move." It's not that time yet because you want to see what the roster is. You want to see what the roster is at this point. Like you got to look at. Obviously, you can improve. You can obviously add a DiVincenzo or, like me and John said, Torrey Craig as like a long wing, a bench piece.
I would love Torrey Craig. I would love him.
You can add bench improvements, but like there's some Knick fans who want the front office to be aggressive in the right way. Like, we could have traded into the draft and drafted Cam Whitmore. That's something understandable, I guess, because you're trying to buy high on some like talent, that's dropping in the draft. But if you're like a Knick fan who's complaining, just in general for the front office to be aggressive, like, oh, James Harden or whoever's on the list, like there's no real superstar that's out here right now. So you just might as well be patient, build the right way, let your kids develop. That's what I say.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, man. So it makes sense. I mean, one of the things before Tibbs was playing the kids, I was always saying, play the young guys, let them develop. You start doing that, and you start to see a little bit of the benefits of that. Dude should be playing a whole lot more. That's why, I love Derrick Rose. Do I wish that somehow he were to come back on the cheap? Of course. His family is here. His son is playing, AAU in the area. But on the flip side, Deuce needs to play more. I mean, the kid can ball. He really can ball. When you send him down to Westchester, the dude is averaging 30-something points a game, 25 to 30 points a game. So he can play, and he can play at a high level. His defense is amazing. His on ball is it helps the overall defense, especially when you're eating up the shot clock and you're forcing the opposition to now scramble. So, yes, you develop your young guys. Jericho Sims, I love him. Anyone knows me knows I love Jericho Sims. I mean, if you were to say you were to trade Hartenstein or even Mitchell. I know Mitchell's not going anywhere, so please don't come at me like that. But I'm saying if he did, Jericho Sims did prove that he can play and he started and he can give you quality minutes. And I'm sorry, he's a little bit better offensively, just a little bit, but not much. But he's a little bit better than Mitchell. Mitchell might be a little bit better defensively, but Jericho's his hops will force an offensive player to adjust their shot, and that's all you need. And he can get some good rebounds. That's all I need. He's younger, he's faster. You can get him with the pick and roll and good alley oop. So I don't have a problem if you were to say you're keeping him either coming second off the bench. I mean, the first big man off the bench, or you trade Mitchell and he's going to start because he did do that last year. So so I love the young guys that we have. The draft picks. Okay, the draft picks are the draft picks, but I mean, I've said, NYG, I talked about it. Some of those draft picks are going to end up being second rounders anyway. So,
Yeah.
You want to trade them away, trade them away. I don't care. Or if you want to get some guys in the later rounds and take a flyer, okay. Look what happened with Miami with Strauss. I mean, undrafted, and the kid is getting the bank now. So you don't need to be a first rounder to develop into a good NBA player. You need good coaching that will develop you.
But that's on Tibbs, though. See what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And that's what I question about a guy like you know what I'm saying? What's his name? For the Nets?
Vaughn.
Jock Vaughn.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I question Vaughn too because I don't know if he's gonna be that guy to develop guys like Cam Thomas, guys like Day'Ron Sharp, guys like even Claxton, even Cam Johnson. They giving these guys big contracts. Or are they going to be able to take it to the next level in a Jock Vaughn system? And I don't know that. I think he's kind of in a Tibbs mode.
This is where you guys, when you guys had the right coach when you had Kenny Atkinson, but you went after the big fish. And this is where Atkinson can, and that's where I'm like, well, let's be real. If again, you got Julius. Julius is tied into Tibbs. I get it. And don't anyone come at me with that article that I did the video on before. No, I'm not into trading away everything we have either just for some superstars. No.
Right.
But if Tibbs and Julius are aligned. So if Tibbs goes, to me, Julius goes. RJ, I can live with. There's still some things there, we have to work on. Yes. But if you have the right talent around him, he'll be fine. So, and don't come at me with Zion. I love Zion when he was at Duke, but he's not proved anything to me in the NBA. So
no.
The only thing he's proved to me is that he's too injury prone, and it's not baby mama drama. It's the side chick drama. That's what you got the problem with. So, bro, it's like, and we all know they all got their side chicks, but why you got the crazy one, bro? You got the but getting back to the Knicks, man.
I'm saying though, right?
yeah. As far as the construction of this roster, I mean, realistically, the starting five for the most part. I mean, we made the playoffs. We did go to the second round. So
right.
As much as I kill Julius, I do respect his grind, his hustle. I just don't like you telling us fans "F you." That's
right.
Really where I'm. But I mean, you fill certain pieces in. Okay, and if you get a good 3-point shooting spacer, and you can move Grimes to the bench, then that's a different story. Good starter, but who's an upgrade over Jericho? I mean, over Grimes, fine. But other than that, I mean, I just think we need to fill in on the bench and rock with what we got right now, because there ain't no superstars out there that I'm just like, and no. What's his name said something to me about Dame Lillard. Trade for Dame Lillard. No. That he's going to the Nets or Philly. Those are the two spots he goes. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
He ain't going to the Nets, Coach. I'm telling you.
We got a Breaking news: Gabe Vincent to the Lakers, 3 years, $33 million.
Ooh, I wasn't expecting that one.
You know, I have to say the Lakers, they've been doing a little bit of bargain hunting with first Taurean Prince. I like that move a lot. Very
Mhm.
cheap deal. And then Gabe Vincent, because you look at like the Lakers, right? And I have to say they did a lot better in the second half because I almost had them written off after their dreadful start
Yeah.
that they have. But and they're still trying to bring back Austin Reeves because they know how important he was.
Mhm.
But you bring in Prince as a backup for Jared Vanderbilt, I believe, is penciled in as their
Vincent's
starter
actually
now.
a point guard, John.
I'm sorry. What happened?
Vincent's actually a point
No,
guard.
I'm saying Taurean Prince.
Oh, Taurean Prince.
saying
I'm sorry.
Prince, and then you have Gabe Vincent, who probably would start.
Yeah, he's a starter, honestly. But
Starter.
I thought I saw something earlier today where the Lakers, like, there was a report that came out and said the Lakers, could offer D'Angelo Russell like a short 2-year deal worth like $22 million, something like that.
I don't know if they do that now.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think they do
No.
that. I mean, yeah,
He wasn't really a fit. I mean, he didn't,
Mhm.
he didn't really get that much playing time down the stretch. It seemed like he just didn't really fit with what they were trying to do. I think D. Russell's a good player, but again, it's all about team fit. You have LeBron James and Anthony Davis on your team. They're gonna need the basketball. So if you can have guys that play a lesser role on the team, the better, I think, for those guys. So
What do you
it's
think this
a good
means?
fit. It's a good move.
What do you think this means for Miami? I mean, one, right now I'm saying without anything, it hurts Miami. But does that mean this opens the door that they're really going to try and go after Dame, or
Well,
do?
I'm wondering either that or because we did see the report that there's for the 3-team deal that's possible.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really wondering if there's something big in the works that they're trying to go after and acquire. So that could be something potentially to keep an eye out.
Yeah, I agree. So, what about you, Luca? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think this will open the door for a Dame Lillard trade. Like, the thing with the Jeremy Grant deal is interesting. First of all, I don't think he's worth $32 million, first of all, unless they're paying him to be that top option. But obviously, drafting Scoot Henderson as a point guard, you don't draft the guy third overall. He's obviously very raw. Like, to me, like, if you're trying to build around Dame, you're putting win now players around him. Scoot Henderson is not a win now player. Not that he's a bad player, but he needs a lot of developing and a lot of time and a lot of minutes. Like, how is that fit alongside Damian Lillard? It's not like necessarily a good fit. So you could just open up what they just did with Jeremy Grant. You have Damian Lillard, trade him to Miami. I'm sure Miami would probably will probably throw Hero or Kyle Lowry in the return. Well, obviously, see what that amounts to. But I think this opens up a Damian Lillard route for the Miami Heat.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm going to be watching for right now, because if Miami doesn't do anything now, how much does that affect them in the long run? Because the East, for anything anybody says, it was tough last year. I mean, Miami, to their credit, they did work and grind and work their way up, but Vincent was a key contributor, and you're taking a key contributor away from them. So, and if you do that, where does that leave them? Because Hemi Butler, he's that dude, but we saw he tired out down the stretch, though. He really did. So, I mean, he needs guys around him. You already lost Strauss. Now you lost Vincent. So
I think because of the way the money is working right now in the NBA, you're gonna see more trades than necessarily signings. You're gonna see a lot more players re-up kind of with their teams, and not so much as just moving from team to team in free agency. I think the free agency thing is because of the CBA. So trades are going to be more effective than just going out and getting these big name free agents. So I don't expect too much noise. It's going to be more of those mid-level guys that you're going to see kind of swap teams more so.
Yeah, definitely. Brian Perez obviously is joking because I haven't seen this report. Knicks signed Austin Reeves, SMH. Wow. Kyrie on the Mavericks equals Josh Donaldson on the Yankees. Both contribute only when Paul George
Wow.
required as fuck.
That's a little harsh,
Donaldson
buddy.
makes
That's a
my
little harsh.
Donaldson makes my HVAC rating
Oh
way too
man.
high.
Wow.
Always coming in with a joke.
Coming in
That's a good one.
strong.
That was a good one. That was a good one. That was a good one. So, oh
Wow.
gosh.
Yeah, he's not too happy as a Dallas Mavericks fan, and I can't say I can't blame him because
Mm.
at the end of the day, you know, we all addressed it. This was where only Kyrie Irving was going to go, but just I don't see again as me and Unpopular Opinion Sports and John were just talking about no fit between Luka and
Mm-mm.
Kyrie in the backcourt.
Mm-mm.
It's a
None whatsoever.
disaster.
It
Exactly.
makes
So,
no basketball sense at all.
look, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think Doncic is he's gonna probably give it this year, and if it continues the way it's going, number one, it's gonna hurt the Knicks because again, next year the draft pick. I mean, this year's basically went to next year's. So, and if it is protected, and I'm expecting them to be in the lottery again, I'm going to be honest in the high lottery. So, and the Knicks are not going to get that, which is probably going to transfer to is it? No, it's one more year, and then after that, it's 2 second rounds. But I can see Doncic saying, "I'm out of here. Get me out of here. I don't like what's going on." And hey, then I could see the Knicks possibly, depending on the situation, then you can include Julius Randle in a trade because he's from Dallas. So, but that's my dream. That's fantasy. That's not reality. But the truth is, if that situation, those two don't work, and it's too combustible, can you see Luca saying, "Trade me out of here"? Because he's the one that. Because I can't see anyone trading for Kyrie. There's nobody in the league that wants Kyrie that I can see.
Right, of
What's
course.
what's your thoughts on that?
No, I was just gonna say like I think there's definitely a scenario where Luka could possibly request out of Dallas. I mean, he's been to the conference finals once, and then after that, they don't re-sign his point guard and Jalen Brunson. He
Mm-hmm.
walks for free, nonetheless.
Mm-hmm.
Not even a sign and trade. They're mediocre throughout the season. They have Spencer Dinwiddie and all these guys and all these role players. So they end up making a big trade for Kyrie Irving. They do that, and then they just miss the playoffs, just like by this much, the play-in as well. So I think Luka's going to start to get frustrated soon enough. It's like you resign. He's going to be like, Mark, you re-signed the wrong guy.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
You remember too? It was so bad that not only they just missed the playoffs, but they got accused of tanking. Like you have to be really bad in that scenario to get accused of that, and you're supposed to be like not only a playoff team, but you're expected to make a run. Like that's a pretty awful season.
Somebody explain something to me though. Help me out because I guess I'm just too old to really grasp this. Okay, I mean, soon as it opened up, right away, Draymond was signed 4 years, $100 million.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you have to negotiate that contract ahead of time?
Yeah.
Is there a window? And last year we got hit for tampering, but these guys are getting. Draymond got signed right at 6 o'clock, and then it was literally a minute later. 4 years, $100 million. I mean, is it me or is there
you're right on.
I'm missing?
I mean,
Okay.
I'm sure that. I mean, you know, you're not supposed to say this, but I'm sure that every guy illegally tampers. Like we're not like we can't be that dumb, and I think the NBA knows it too. But they're not going to come down on every single player, and I don't know what prompts them to pick and choose their battles whenever you do hear, you know, this team is legally tampering, because you know you see all these shows that are put out and all these reports that are put out minutes and like. Not even like hours, just like, you know, a few minutes in, I'm like, well, no, yeah, like they didn't negotiate a deal in 5 minutes. It took a while. Like those contracts take a while. So anyone believes that people follow the legal tampering rules, I'm sorry. If you just
It's just like
so it's not me. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, like, literally before free agency started, I swear, before the 6 o'clock hour, Mark Stein reports Draymond Green is going to sign a 4-year, 100 million deal with the Golden State Warriors. Like, that's minutes before free agency.
I don't know. I mean,
yeah, that's where. Okay, like I said, it's not me. Okay, I'm just, at least I know.
No,
I'm
it's not you. We're
it's not.
Okay, it's just okay. All right, you just want to get after whoever, and the Knicks are the easy choice last year, and this year you're just letting this slide. Okay,
that I'm in actually 100% agreement there, just because it's like, all right, you want to target us, fine, because you could target like almost every team that signed someone.
And the what was I going to say? Did the 76ers at all get penalized last year for the PJ Tucker thing?
One of the contributors says something. I don't know if it was Tucker. He said something about they got penalized for
what was their penalty?
Signing, I don't know who it was for though, but I remember him saying it earlier that they also had to go through that too. So it's nothing new. Yeah, I read about that. Yeah, I know, and I know ESPN with their cuts. So
is that for real? They really
they
fired all them
everyone.
All them cats.
Jalen Rose, Max Kellerman.
Wow.
Van Gundy.
Van Gundy, Steve Young, Susie Colbert. Yep. I mean, I had the list earlier. Let me see if I can pull it back
that's
up.
Literally that's what happens when your ratings plummet. Like, sorry to say it, but that's pretty much why. Like,
because you're reporting a suspect.
Here it is.
You
Jeff
said it.
Most Calvin, Keyshawn, Susie, Todd McShay, Jalen Rose, Matt Hasselbach, Lavonzo Ellis, Ashley Brewer.
They let McShay go? Damn.
Jordan, David Pollock. There was a couple more that came.
They let Max Kellerman go?
Yeah.
Yep. Jay Will is another one who's going.
They let Jay Will go? Will ain't so they cut their whole show. Him, Keyshawn, they just get y'all up out of here. Damn. That's cold-blooded.
And as they said, but yet still, Malika Andrews is still there. So, you go figure that. So, yeah, I'm not going to touch it. So, I'm sorry. I know I'm bad.
No, that's fine. That's fine, man.
Wow, man.
Two things real quick. Joe Ingles, that contract was not for 1 year. That was 2 years, $22 million for the Orlando Magic. So they landed a big wing and a big shooting wing. Dennis Schroeder is likely to leave the Lakers.
Yeah, I guess
I thought him and D'Lo were probably going to go once you brought in Gabe Vincent.
Makes sense now.
So who's going to go after D'Lo? I mean, because now if we follow everything that's going on, it's where's a good fit for him? So
I'm trying to think of a team outside of Miami that needs a point guard.
Sacramento just did their thing. Is it the Clippers? Could it be the Clippers?
That's possible. Even though they want James Harden too, so maybe it's the other LA team.
Yeah, I mean, on the East Coast, it's not Boston, it's not the Nets, it's not the Knicks. It's not. I mean, could it be Philly then? I mean, if Philly trades out, or gets rid of Harden, could you see him going there? I mean, it can't be Atlanta. It's Washington. Is it Washington? No, I can't see Washington.
I'd also like to call another timeout. I'm sorry to interrupt, Ed. A former Net has left the Brooklyn Nets. Yuta Watanabe is signing with the Suns.
I just seen that. Wow.
Everyone is going to the KD. Suns.
Right.
Wow.
The guy that took his playing time.
Hey, you want to chase? You're chasing the ring, man. I mean, isn't that what it's about?
I mean, that's cool. I mean, I guess it works. I guess it works, man. You know what I'm saying? For guys like Watanabe, you know, some of these other guys that are going there, man. Hey, look, just play your role, do your job, and you don't have no pressure on you.
Right.
You know, so
He's a
he
shooter.
wasn't gonna be with the Nets anyway. Like I said, we got a log jam from 3-point shooters. I mean, the Nets were one of the better 3-point shooting teams in the NBA. Percentage wise. And what we weren't, though, is a good rebounding team, which Watanabe doesn't offer you. Neither does he offer you anything on defense. So, I mean, he is what he is. Good luck to him. You know what I mean?
Does that
Watanabe
open the door
last
for?
year was a 44% 3-point shooter.
Yeah, that's what he. Yeah, that's his role. Him,
Does
Harris,
that?
Seth Curry. You know what I'm saying? That's what we had. A lot of Patty Mills. We had a lot of good 3-point shooters that couldn't play defense or rebound.
So now does that
And
open the door for Cam Thomas? Doesn't that open the door for
I mean,
Thomas?
it should.
I would hope
Theory.
so, man. I hope I hope so, man. I really hope they don't bury this guy, man. You know, they find at least some type of role for him. I mean, because gee whiz, you know, you need scoring. You need a dog in your lineup. You know, you got rid of that with KD. That was your dog. You know what I'm saying? Now you need that other dog. It's not Mikal Bridges. I'm sorry, Nets fans. It's not Mikal Bridges. He's a number 2. You know, he's as they say, Robin to somebody's Batman. You know, so I mean, he's a good player. I like him. Cam Johnson is another role player that you paying a lot of money to, but you need a star, and it's not going to come from free agency. It has to come from your quote unquote farm system. You know, so and they have that on the bench if they just give these guys a chance, man, and stop chasing wins. You ain't winning nothing.
No, you're not. Not realistically with this roster.
Mm-hmm.
Jacob says there might be a different window, though, if it's just an extension, not a signing. True. I mean, Draymond was with his current team. It's not like he just signed with a different team, like a PJ Tucker kind of thing. Obviously mentions the Judge thing, but I was actually going to drift back to the Knicks thing as Coach Ed was talking about with the young kids. I think now some people will say this, some people won't. The Knicks, and some people won't admit this. I know people who would. The Knicks, I know they're not supposed to win a championship right now. They're contending, but they're not championship contenders. The Knicks are not winning anything with Julius Randle and Tom Thibodeau because I think both are bad for each other.
But they seem to be locked together though for some reason. I mean, Tibbs relies or loves him, Julius, for some reason. I mean, and it's you know, I mean, the Obi situation is enough for me. I mean, I'm not saying Obi, you know, is an elite player,
right?
But you should have been able to develop him that he's more serviceable than just being a corner 3-point shooter and an energy guy. He was a lottery pick. Come on now, it's like, you know, you need to develop him a little bit more. You know, and you know, you could say, well, he needs to develop his own game. Okay, yeah, he needs to contribute, but that's what your coaches are for. Also, you're supposed to give him a regiment or a routine to work on that you want for him to work into your system, the way you play things. You know, yes, I understand about his liabilities on defense, but he's serviceable enough. He still goes out there and, you know, he can still get deflections on the wings and, you know, tip outs to, you know, someone and get going on the wing and you get him a nice alley-oop. That's one of the things that's best about him. But let's also, yes, I understand he played in Atlantic 10 in college, but he did have a low post game in college. Am I correct?
Yeah,
you're right.
So why didn't we develop that to fit into the system? Because realistically, you want to say Julius? Okay, he's our low post scorer. But realistically, Julius, for what he does, he's more in a high post dribble, shoot. Where, you know what, kick it into the low post, move, reposition, boom. Now you can, you know, set up pick and roll, whatever the case may be, if you're going to play those two together on the court, whatever. But the point is, they did not develop him, which I talked about earlier. Developing your young players. I'm sorry, go ahead, bro.
No, I was just saying in general, like, obviously I just mentioned that everybody's in the whole thing with the Obi stuff because obviously he's rumored to Indiana now. Previously he was rumored to Indiana, but Indiana drafted Jarris Walker, but now they're still interested in him. It's just like we hear all the time about the front office, head coach disconnection with that exact draft pick, the Obi Toppin draft pick. Now the front office wanted drafted and Tibbs didn't, and I felt like I'm not going out to reach to call out Tom Thibodeau. I'm not trying to reach and criticize him, but it almost felt like it was kind of personal as why he didn't play, Obi Toppin, in my opinion. Like,
Yes.
Obi has a lot of shit to work on, to be fair. The defensive side, I thought he was exposed in the playoffs. He does have good outside shooting. But another fact is, like, he can't show a lot in those minutes because it's almost like he's playing in fear that he's going to get benched. If he makes a defensive mistake, dude, you're gone. We're going to put in Julius Randle. Randle, make 10 defensive mistakes. You're still in there. So it's just like this double standard. And once again, Ed, as you said, he's not being played through his strengths offensively, or never was. He was just a corner three guy. In this offense, there is no off-ball movement. There is no cutting to the basket. It's all ISO ball shit and dribble handoffs. It's ridiculous. And then that's why I say that Tibbs teams have a ceiling because of how outdated his philosophy offensively and defensively are. And I tried telling somebody that a week ago, and they were like, well, we don't have the talent yet. Obi Toppin is just a role player. And I'm like, dude, and then the same guy was like, the Knicks never should have picked him at 8th. He was never worth the 8th overall pick. I'm like, that's bullshit. If you ask any other NBA analyst at the time, they will tell you, yes, you can buy into him.
Look, the problem with Obi is, bottom line is, they just didn't develop him. There is talent there, period. Case closed. And if you don't develop the talent as a coach, you are failing your team, the player, your organization, period. And you're right, it falls right on Tibbs' shoulders. And if he's being that petty to not play a player that was given to you by your management, you don't deserve to be a coach. That's as a coach myself, that's disrespectful. You're going to be that petty. Oh, I didn't like this kid, so I'm not going to play him anyway. Bro, get over yourself. Get over yourself, because you got other guys that are relying on you to develop them because they want to chase their dreams of making championships and making their money. Well, bro, you have a responsibility, and that also falls on Leon Rose. Because you want to do all this stuff. You don't want to be joined together. Look, let's be real. You don't agree with him. Y'all sit down. Y'all work it out. Yes, you have the final say. Okay, Tibbs has to get over that because that's his job. That's his job. He has the final say. You take what he gives you and go. But you know what? Used to sit down. Sometimes you have to negotiate. But as a coach, you have a superior. Shut up and do your job, plain and simple. And if he's not doing that, and Leon Rose, hold him accountable. Why are you not holding Tibbs accountable? If he's being insubordinate, then you know what? You go to Dolan and say, look, he's being insubordinate. We might have to eat his contract because we need to let him go and get someone in here who's going to help these guys grow. Well, Dolan don't care because he's getting paid, and whatever this team wants to do, he's going to do it. So that's another story. But the bottom line is everything rolls downhill. And if Tibbs is not following what he's given and developing, you got another news. Go ahead. I see it. You got Shake Milton.
No, I just left this up here, but we can still continue the conversation. Shake Milton to Minnesota, but go on.
No, but he's not developing, and that's just the bottom line. Because now let's take it like this. You trade him out, and he goes somewhere else, and they develop him, and you know what? He blows up. Then what? Then what, Tibbs? And we all see as fans.
He will blow up too.
Yes, yeah. And that's the thing. He will blow up.
Dude's got talent, man.
I mean, for me, he's perfect in the pick and roll. Mm-hmm. He's perfect because Lob City, the old Lob City. Most people cannot get up with him. Him and Jericho Sims, they're above that rim. So
you get him stronger, and he can be a double machine.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what he can turn into, basically.
That goes back to Tibbs and
high shooters percentage.
I mean, right now, do we have fool's gold because we got to the second round? We've been desperate because we haven't advanced or been in the playoffs in so long, so we got to the second round. But you know what I'm expecting? I'm expecting progression. you know. And if the management and the coach are not on the same page about players and bringing players in, we're going to end up being in the second round, maybe even in the first round next year because the other teams are improving, except for Miami right now.
Mm-hmm. And Coach, I love the point that you brought up, especially with Leon Rose, because me and Luke have been talking about this for almost a year now, of the front office and the coaching staff not being on that same lockstep, not being on the
Mhm.
same eye to eye, and that's really, what, first off, that just shows how good the team was able to play, because I still don't know if they have the same mindset and views, but. Number two, and more importantly, like if you're not, then that's a problem because it causes turmoil inside the organization, which can't really lead to many good things, and B, if you're not on lockstep with some of these players, like especially with your draft picks, well, then that's a problem because you're wasting draft picks, you're
Mhm.
wasting resources, and B, you're really not putting out your best product, especially if there's like fighting in the organization of, the front office thinks Obi should play more, but Tibbs doesn't want him to play and he'd rather have Randall. And it's like, at this point, I don't know who would be a better option for us between Toppin and Randall because, and not to say that you guys are wrong, but
Mhm.
we're never going to know at the moment. I'm not going to call Toppin better than Randall, but I'm not going to sit there and say they haven't used him correctly. I mean, how many times do I see Toppin out on the perimeter just standing there in three? And I'm like, it's not, I mean, not saying he can't shoot, but it's not his game.
That's
He's a high flyer, man. That's what he was in college and with Dayton.
exactly. I mean, as a Giants fan, when we talk about lockstep, NYG, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You got
Mm,
your general manager and your head coach on the same mindset. Yankees fans, as much as we kill Cashman and Boone, they're both of the same mindset.
Yep.
And but you don't see that
unfortunately,
with the
yeah.
you. Don't, but the thing is, you don't see that with the Knicks, and that's the
Mhm.
problem. It's like now you want to get rid of Scott Perry. Okay, you're getting rid of Scott Perry, but what is that really going to do?
Right.
Because Perry was here before Leon Rose came in, and he was, so it's like, okay, well, when are we going to get aligned and, like you guys are saying, a lot together so that way we can get the players in, develop the players so we can develop a winning culture. Boston does that. Boston does that. I mean, you see that. No matter what, whoever they get, they bring in, they fit into the culture. What's his name? Stepped up into the executive position. He brings in a coach.
Brad
Udoka's
Stevens.
out, and Udoka's out, and you still bring in, Mazzone. Well, am I saying his name right? Mazzoni, their new head coach in Boston.
Oh,
Missoula.
Mazzola.
Missoula.
Mazzola, yeah.
Mazzola. Yeah, you bring him in and he fits the culture. And that's what I'm getting at. And the players still respect him. Not saying players don't respect Tibbs, but it's like, come on, like you guys are saying, players also see it. It's like, it's like two parents. Two parents are arguing and they're not in agreement. And what are the kids going to do? They're going to play one over the other. They're going to play that's really what they're going to do. And, it's, yeah, I get, and it's anybody who says, well, Brunson loves Tibbs. He speaks by Tibbs. I get it. I get it. Then,
Of course he gonna speak by him though. I mean, what's he gonna do? Say, hey,
no, no, no. I
this
don't mean
dude
it
is
like that. I mean,
trash. You see what I'm saying?
no,
Like,
no. What I'm saying is because of the association with his dad, but he's also has the association with Leon Rose too, and that's been the thing. So it's like, I don't know. I'm just,
man, you loyal to the people that's paying you, man. You know what I'm
Of course.
saying? And that's what these guys are about. Yeah, they're gonna be, hey, peachy and cream with who's on the roster or who's in charge of management right now. But at the end of the day, these guys gotta pretty much go along with with the big boss says, man. You
his
know what I'm saying?
comment,
So
his comment, Cashman has the Jason, but they
I'll
need
read it.
Jim Moore.
Yeah,
Yeah,
literally. It says Cashman is Jason Kidd type as batting coach in Lawson. Neither one cares about the regular season, just make the playoffs. Whereas Jim
yeah.
Moore Sr. when needed. Playoffs? Are you kidding me?
Yep.
That's true. That's so true. But yeah, it's interesting. No, it's not interesting. It's frustrating. It's frustrating as a Knicks fan, a longtime Knicks fan. It's like, yes, I blame Dolan a lot for things because he sets the culture, and it's just dysfunctional. I mean, for those like I'm a Knicks fan. I don't get to see Knicks games because I live in northern New Jersey and I have Comcast. And think about that. MSG and Comcast are at war, so Comcast pulled MSG off of the network, and it's like, really? But now I'd have to find certain streaming services to pay just to get it, but I
Right.
can't pay my cable company to just include it. So it's just like, yo, it's stupid, and it's so much dysfunction. So I'm hearing the New York Knicks are interested in.
No, well, yeah, that was the previous yesterday. City.
That would be completely. It would just sink so much hope that you have for the Knicks.
Right. And me and Luka. Sorry, I don't mean to cut off. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Because me and Luca have been literally talking about, because we've been like talking about all the rumors, you know, and I've kind of we've pretty much been in agreement, like because the first thing he'll send me is like a trade rumor. It's like, oh, whether it's Harden or Paul George or whoever it might be, and I'm like, well, what would we give up? Because I wouldn't give up like a whole lot to go get these guys. Number one, and number two, I don't really think it makes them better as a team. I read the comment too.
I'm sorry. I'm just like, damn, this dude is hilarious. Yo, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No. But as I was saying, you know, I don't want to pay for, you know, a quote unquote all-star level player, especially if I know what I'm getting in them, and unless it's not like, you know, one of the best players in the game, like a top 5 player in the game, I really don't want to go after someone that I know is probably going to just get me around the same place we were last year, except just with bigger cap problems.
Bingo. You said it perfectly.
Mhm.
You know, you know, with the Knicks, it just some of the moves just don't make sense. I mean, you know, Leon Rose. Oh, and Leon Rose, will you stop hiding and being afraid to talk to the fans? I mean, this one a year going through MSG, which I can't get to see. I have to wait till it gets onto Twitter or other avenues. Yo, come out and talk to the fans, bro. Yes, we're gonna torture you sometimes, but yo, that's New York City. That's what it's about. You know, if you can't handle it here, bro, then you know what? Bye.
Yeah,
Bye. You know, that bothers me because, you know, as a Giants fan, at least I know, even as a Yankees fan, I at least know what Cashman's going to do. I don't agree with it, but at least I know where he's going. I can look at it. You know, with the Giants, we could sit there. Even the Jets with Joe Douglas. I mean, he does still talk to the fans. So, but when you get to the Knicks, it's like you're the president of operation. You know, nobody from management speaks to the fans, you know, but you leave it on Tibbs, who guys like me get sick of and don't want to hear about. So, you know, but it's so much dysfunction in the organization. It's just that, unfortunately, if we weren't winning, it would be a whole lot worse. But right now, we got to the second round, so it's like some days I have to say, it's hold back. Maybe it's headed in the right direction. Maybe, but you know, I just have to sit and wait, you know, and then, you know, my brother up there, you know, he just, you know, comes at me about the Knicks. So, you know, we go at it. You know, it's you
Hey
know.
man, you know, hey, look, hey, I was optimistic about the Knicks more than you were at the start of the season. So
Yeah,
you know,
fair. That's
We
fair.
all were.
That's fair.
they kind of met my expectations actually, and what they did, you know, and actually exceeded my expectations, man.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think the problem with the Knicks is Tom Thibodeau. I mean, it's the coach. It's obvious that it's the coach right now, man, because anybody with a brain would have moved on from Julius Randle and would be starting Obi Toppin. I mean, you spent a lottery pick on this dude. I mean, come on now. What are you doing?
I think Luca had more optimism than me, if I'm not mistaken.
I said at the beginning of the season this would be like this. The Knicks team would be like a play-in team, but they played better than they, realistically should have.
Mhm.
Then they traded for
Yeah,
Josh Hart, which solidified them being a top 6 seed. But hey,
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's
exactly why I had him, Luca, as a play-in team. I had him around the 6-7 seed at the start of the season.
The Josh Hart move was probably the best move of the whole year, and then getting him to re-up right now is a great move. Even trading out what's his name to Portland. I didn't like at first. I didn't like the first for giving up the first round, but I understood.
Thank you.
Understood.
Yes. I've been on that. The one big criticism I've had of Leon Rose is like his management of sometimes draft picks.
Mhm.
Because you traded a first to get Cam Reddish, and then you have to trade a first to get out of him. It's like
It's 2 first-round draft picks.
did we just
Yep.
really waste 2 firsts because of Cam Reddish?
Mhm.
Like that looks so awful. But nevertheless, I mean,
Well, technically, no. We didn't. The last year's that we traded to Detroit was not part of Cam Reddish. I'm sorry, I missed it up.
that was a whole
Yeah.
different. But
Yeah. So, but yeah, I'm with you. It's 2 draft picks. That you had to give up to, for Cam Reddish. But in the end, though, I will say this: it kind of balances out because of what Josh Hart brings to the table. That's what we were expecting from Cam Reddish. But for some reason, it didn't happen. He's better offensively than Hart, I think.
Oh yeah, no question.
But Hart brings,
and that's why
everything
Hart
else
shines because
Yeah.
he's playing under Tom Thibodeau, who is a defensive-minded head coach.
But
When the Knicks started playing better, it was because they started playing better on defense. And I told you, Coach, it was when Mitchell Robinson got back going in that lineup, as well as the addition of Josh Hart. That's when they started playing better on defense, holding teams to under 100 points.
Right.
Yep.
What? Hey, Coach, how do you feel about Micah Parsons saying Daniel Jones and Jay Hurts? Who the hell is
Jalen
Jay
Hurts. That Jalen Hurts he's talking about.
He said, "What now?"
Jalen.
You know what? I basically what he's saying is, if you put Daniel Jones on the Eagles, that Daniel Jones would pretty much be doing the same thing with the Eagles.
I don't agree with that. I'm sorry. Not to like discredit Daniel Jones in the season he had, but I don't agree. Now I'm not.
What is Jalen Hurts? He's a mobile quarterback that can throw, or is he a throwing quarterback who's mobile?
I think he's a mobile quarterback that can throw.
That can throw.
But
so what is Daniel Jones? What is Daniel Jones?
Daniel Jones is mobile, but I don't know if he.
I think Daniel Jones is more of a throwing quarterback.
I don't know.
Well, he's actually a mobile quarterback that can throw. Actually,
so
it seems like it anyway.
Look, what about the stat? See, some of us have had arguments about that. If you break DJ threw for 3,200, didn't Hurts throw for 38, I believe, or 39, and then Daniel Jones ran for like 7, and Hurts ran for somewhere around the same thing. So, and then now the difference is Hurts has better receivers, and I think he's thrown for more touchdowns. But they throw limited interceptions, and they're limited with turnovers. So
right,
I get the premise. I get the premise. I really do. I really do. When you make that argument, it's just we haven't seen Daniel Jones do that. That's the whole thing. But now on the flip side, Jalen Hurts until last year, realistically, he was in the same mode as Daniel Jones. NYG will know. NYG will tell you. We knew a lot of Eagles fans prior to last year that wanted Jalen Hurts gone.
What I think happens is, I think in terms of like what people think, I think Jalen Hurts is a little overrated and how he's viewed. And I think Daniel Jones is a little underrated. Now, I do think that Hurts is still better than Jones just because of what he proved last year. I think he's more mobile. And you said, I think he's better also in the red zone. But that also could be because of the talent around him.
So that
Which
goes to the point was if you put Daniel Jones in that offense, will
Mhm.
Daniel Jones do the same thing? So then it goes back to are they the same? And it's until now, Jalen it's hard. It's hard because
I think he's right though, man. I think Daniel Jones is a better thrower. I think Jalen Hurts is a better runner.
yeah, I agree.
okay,
But I think the running ability that's better than Daniel Jones and the throwing ability that's better than Jalen Hurts, it kind of balances them out. I really honestly think they're kind of the same quarterback. I think Jalen Hurts succeeds more because of the talent around him. Now we'll see what DJ does this year. You know, we have high expectations. So we'll see, man. But I honestly think they're a lot similar than people think, honestly,
yeah,
skill set
and that's
wise.
why I'm sitting here thinking about it, and I
Yeah.
went through the stats, and I mean, now I will say Hurts is probably more elusive than Daniel Jones.
He's a better
Daniel Jones
runner.
is straight runner. I mean, in terms of overall speed, if you put him in a foot race, Jalen Hurts is not going to blow Daniel Jones away. So or vice versa. Whoever's faster, but Hurts is probably definitely more elusive. I will say that. And Daniel Jones, his rookie season, did we all say that he was great with the long ball down the sidelines? Him and Slayton had that connection, but God, Joe Judge and ruined it. But I mean, I get it. I get it. And I get where you're coming from on the flip side. So I don't think either argument is wrong until we see Daniel Jones, if he has the same amount of talent as we're hoping this year, or we're some of us are thinking 13-4 that he's going to have this year. But we'll see. But again, this is basketball. I'm sorry, we went on a
It's all right.
tangent
It's all
on
right.
football.
I think we'll go for about a few more minutes, but I do have an interesting nugget. There's there's increasing word today that Houston's offer to Brooke Lopez could exceed 2 years, $40 million.
I it's not that I don't think Brooke. I really like Brooke Lopez as a player, but I don't know why Houston would have that interest, or if he's the right player for them. Just because they got who's that center they got?
Alperen Şengün.
Şengün. That I kind of want to see, what he can do. So it's not that Brooke would be a bad player, but also like I don't see the Rockets competing
Right.
anytime soon. So
What is
um,
Şengün's? What is his game? What is his makeup? Is he kind of like a stretch five like Lopez is?
No,
no,
Şengün was obviously in the Turkish league before he came to
Hmm.
the United States and was drafted. He's like an interesting skill set. I don't want to say he's Jokic. He's an oak. He's somewhat solid on the post when
He's a
posting up.
Okic. It sounds like that's what she's about to say. He's a Okic without the J.
But I was gonna say like I don't want to say he's a similar skill set to Jokic, but he can't. He's not an efficient 3-point shooter. He's good in the post.
Right.
He's really good at passing, and I think he has that special IQ up top. Not a great defender, but he's like a very versatile skill set, and that I think
It doesn't make sense. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to bring him in
no,
because
it does.
you're going to have in your low post two different types of players. I mean, for everything I was just saying about the Knicks, if you look at it, Mitchell Robinson, Hartenstein's a little bit better because he can shoot the three, but he still does a lot of the dirty work, picks and pick and roll rebound, and even Jericho Sims. They're all in a sense almost the same. So I get where you're going with this.
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense because also, listen, Houston has money to spend. We know that. They also have a shit ton of young talent. Jalen Green, as I just mentioned, Şengün. Kenyon Martin's
Hmm.
available for trade. We know that. Eamon Thompson, Cam Whitmore. I mean, could I go on with all the young talent they have?
Hmm. Hmm.
Kevin Porter, is he young? I'm trying to think anyone else we missed.
Kevin Porter Jr., as you said, John. Josh Christopher, I know he's more of like a just role player or whatever, but I'm just going to put in some breaking news here, courtesy of Adrian Wojnarowski. Herb Jones, small forward for the New Orleans Pelicans, has agreed to a 4-year, $54 million deal to stay with the Pelicans. His agents tell ESPN.
Okay.
Like you don't have major top level spending, but you have good spending across the
I
board.
told you.
Yeah.
But most of the players are re-upping with their former teams because of that
Yeah.
CBA. You know what I'm
Yeah, no,
saying?
we talked about it before. I've talked about it before. When
Hmm.
that CB, it's penalizing you. You know, it goes back to what I just said. You got to develop your players. You got to draft
Hmm.
well. You have to draft well because
Yeah.
if not, you're going to be in a hole for a while because you know that's where. Yeah, and we got the Knicks have how many draft picks over the next 7 years? What 10, 9, 10?
Nine,
Yeah.
10, got to be something like
I'm
that.
trying. I'm trying to remember where. Well, remember we have Dallas's,
We got
uh,
Washington's, which could,
Washington.
I don't know if that can hit, but the Washington's going to be bad for the next few years, so it might hit. Just a
Another
couple of a lot of second round picks.
Yeah, no, I knew the second. It's just that I remember before this year's draft, I think we had 11, but we traded one or two, or this year we didn't have anything because of Dallas, so which transfers to next year. So I mean, like I said earlier, I don't see a lot of these first round draft picks hitting. I don't. They're going to be second rounders, which you're going to have to trade out somehow,
Mhm.
somewhere.
Yeah.
So how valuable is NBA draft picks now? Because you see a lot of trading with draft picks now than you've seen in the past, So I think teams are actually starting to value draft picks a little bit more than they used
Mhm.
to, especially when you have the G League, and overseas and some different things to develop some of these players. Also the expansion of the NBA roster. I remember the NBA roster used to carry 12 players. Now it's
15.
15.
15. So, I think these teams are starting to value their draft picks just a little bit more. So you're seeing a lot of, for instance, these second, third round picks, man. If you grab a guy that has some potential, you stash him in the G League for a couple years or put him on a two-way contract, whatever, you might get a gem. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people you're looking at, um,
But how
some of
many? I
the
mean, when you look at the Knicks, I mean, if you have 3 and 4 second rounders in one year, you can't keep all that. You just can't. Now, if you tell me
Mhm.
two, I get two. I can
Yeah.
get keep one on the roster, maybe one to the G League, but four. I mean, like I said, the Knicks have second rounders. I think between the two over a 7 year period, I think we had what 24, 22, something like that. And we didn't trade away any second rounders, so I think we have another 11 over the next 5 or 6 years.
I have the list of draft picks actually per the trade
Cool.
machine. So we don't have not one, not two, but 4 first round picks next year. Obviously, our own. One we
Hmm.
have via Detroit. One we have via Dallas, obviously coming back from last year, and one via the Wizards, which I think it has to be in the lottery for the Knicks to
Mhm.
obviously be successful.
Right.
Then you got not one, two, three second round picks next year, so they're locked and loaded.
Well,
Twenty
you know.
So
twenty
they got what, 7 picks?
Mhm.
next year.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And that's where you that now let's say for argument's sake you capitalize, you get all of that. Are you really going to use 4 first round draft picks next
No,
year? That's
no
my
No,
way.
point.
no, nah,
And
nah,
then
nah. They're
three
not
and
gonna do
three
that.
second round draft picks. So it's like you have to trade. You
Mhm.
You got to
have
be
to
Right.
aggressive.
trade.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's
Um.
like
true.
just storing guys, a guy here or there, is one thing. But when you have that many, that's where it's like, yo, you should, it had to have been used, and that's why sometimes when Knicks fans say, well, we could have used some of that from next year into this year to trade up. Yeah, but on the flip side, does anybody want to trade? Because if they're lottery protected, does it give you the breakdown of the lottery protected? There was a site that I had before that did.
Dallas.
Um,
Let me see if it is. Let me see what the projections are on the Dallas picks.
The Dallas is, I think, top 10, and if it doesn't hit, if does it go to the next year, and then after that, it's just 2 second rounds, or is it 2 second rounds after next year?
I think it's 2 second rounds after like next year.
Okay,
I think
see,
it's two seconds after next year.
and I think Detroit and Washington follow that same type of trend if they're
Yeah.
protected. So that's why I look at it like, well, realistically, they're not good first round draft picks because if they're lottery protected, how are you going to capitalize if you keep rolling them back and they go end up being second round draft picks?
Mm,
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that,
wow.
Sunil. I saw that about the Rangers and Chapman.
Aroldis Chapman.
Yeah. So,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, that goes to what I was saying about all the second round draft picks that the Knicks might end up with 1 year or 2 years. It's like, are they really worth it? I mean, if you can't get rid of it, then you're going to have all these guys, and what are you going to do with them? You're going to end up cutting them, and then somebody's going to swoop in and pick up these guys, and then you had nothing. I mean, maybe tell me if I'm thinking wrong, guys.
No, you're right. I
you're
actually,
Mhm.
I actually got every single detail of next year's draft picks. So,
Cool,
2020,
cool.
2024 first round pick from Dallas. Dallas's first round pick to New York is protected for selections 1 through 10, top 10,
Mm-hmm.
and
Same.
top 10 in 2025. Ed was originally right.
Okay.
If Dallas has not conveyed a first round pick to New York by 2025, it will instead convey its second round pick for 2025 to New York that year.
Just one 22nd round. Wow.
One.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
And
20
I always say this too because it's the draft. It's such a crapshoot that you
Yeah.
never know what you're getting out of these prospects and these
True.
kids coming
True.
up.
Yeah, that's
But
true.
I wonder if any thinking has to do with, this year it was a really strong draft with the prospects that came out with like Wembanyama, Miller, Henderson, the Thompsons, like a lot of strong kids that were projected. So I wonder, and I don't think next year's draft is as strong as this year's. Now I could be wrong. Again, nobody's gonna know until maybe 5-6 years down the road. But I wonder if any of trading picks has to do with how strong the drafts are, or how are these prospects perceived as. So just an interesting thought if the Knicks do decide to move however many picks they want.
True. Next one you got?
Yep. First, let me just get an NBA note in here. We obviously mentioned the possible three-team trade with Max Strus to Cleveland. Another team that could be included between Miami and Cleveland is San Antonio because Cleveland is trying to find a suitor for Chetty Osman this week.
Okay.
Wow. He played well for them last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a guy at the deadline I wanted to trade for, actually. And instead we got Hart, which I'm absolutely fine with. But moving to the other picks, this is the first round pick from Detroit. So Detroit's first round pick to New York, protected for selections 1 through 18 in 2024. That's not happening. 2025, 1 through 13. 2026, 1 through 11. 2027, 1 through 9. And if Detroit has not conveyed a first round pick to New York by 2027, then Detroit has to convey its second round pick to New York.
Please be a first. Please be a first.
Well, and you know what? With that one, I will say this. Based on what we've seen a little bit with Detroit, the moves that they're made, next year, 1 through 18, I don't think is going to happen. You want to say 1 through 11, 1 through 9. I see them progressing, so there is that possibility. But it's probably going to not be a lottery pick. It's probably going to be right on that fringe, unless they really progress far. Then it's going to drop lower, so it's going to be in the 20s. So, okay, but at least it still will get you a first round draft pick that you can also use as trade capital to move up later too. So. That one is not too bad. That one is valuable. I get that one.
Okay, so this is the first round pick from Washington.
Mm-hmm.
Washington's first round pick to New York is protected for selections 1 through 12 in 2024, 1 through 10 in 2025, and 1 through 8 in 2026. If Washington is not conveyed a first-round pick to New York by 2026, then Washington will convey not one but two second-round picks to New York. 2026 second rounder, 2027 second rounder.
Again, please be first. Please be
More than
first.
likely, look what Washington just did. Let's be real, man. It's not happening.
No, I know. Yeah.
That's why I look at the Washington and not Detroit. What's the other one?
Dallas.
Dallas. I don't think we're gonna get first rounders off of those. You know, I mean, well, let me back up. Washington. I don't know what we're gonna get, but they're so screwed up over there. To me, I can't see them. And you're playing out west. That's the other thing. You're playing out west, so it's like, are they really going to? Or are they going to end up being a lottery team? So I don't know.
It's definitely interesting.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And then 2025, they have 2 first rounders, one via Milwaukee, 2 second-round picks after that, and then 2026 obviously is 1 first-round pick. So they got a lot of picks to next year. Obviously in the year after, but again, it has to be done through the qualifications of the protections. So,
But the picks don't make no difference, and if you got Tom Thibodeau, that's not going to develop the talent. You know what I'm saying?
You're right.
You're right, bro.
So, I mean,
again, in my opinion, once this team realizes that they're not going to win with Tom Thibodeau and Julius Randle, I'm not going to say that they are serious. I'm going to say that they know they're going to contend. Like, obviously, you can't play this game. Well, actually, Stephen A. was saying, and like I always say this with Stephen A. There's at least one thing out of 25 I might agree with him upon. Now, I don't know what the Clippers are doing after the season. He suggested that the Knicks fire Tom Thibodeau after this year and pursue Tyronn Lue.
I remember that. Yep.
I would take Lue. I would.
But first and foremost, are the Clippers going to let him go?
That's the
Is he
question.
under contract? If he's under contract, then that means you're going to have to give up draft capital for him. So, I mean, now if you're talking about 1 first-round draft pick, if I can give him one of the first-round draft picks, okay, I would do that to give up. Especially next year. The possibility next year. I mean, okay, I'll give it one
you
next
would
year.
give up a first-round draft pick
for Tyronn Lue. But that's that if you want to coach on the contract, you're going to have to do that. That's already been proven.
I think there's other coaches out there without contracts.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying if they want Tyronn Lue, then you're going to have to give up a first round.
If that's the target, I get it. I get it.
So I'm not. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think that would be a mistake, though, if they did that.
John, I'll let you announce this one because I think you were just about to announce it.
Yeah, because I got the alert from Shams. It's actually a return, but a new free agent signing. Free agent Josh Richardson has agreed on a 2-year deal with the Miami Heat. So he goes back to Miami after.
I think he's that gave Vincent replace, like the Vincent off the bench. Alongside Oladipo.
Do you really think Oladipo is going to really play?
No.
I'm going to say no.
I just figured he picked up his. Yeah, I think he was smart to pick up his contract because it was a player option, so he's guaranteed his money. But I don't see him playing, or if he comes back, it's going to be late in the season, and is he going to be any productive for them? So I don't see him, playing. So, and then I think after that, he's probably going to be done for his career. But that's me. That's my opinion. So
yeah, definitely. I think Oladipo's just obviously he's past it at this point, but yeah, it is what it is with Oladipo. You obviously got to manage his minutes very much so because his knees are terrible.
Yeah,
they're cooked.
Very much so. So
he's a player that you're hoping can play, but like you really can't bank on it.
Right, of course.
How's that compare to Derrick Rose? I mean, the Knicks have had Derrick Rose on the roster, for a few years now, and I mean, it just doesn't seem like. I mean, is he there to be a mentor? I mean, I don't understand exactly what they're doing with D Rose right now.
The team actually declined his team option, so he's a free agent. Either or
it,
not at
it,
all.
if nobody, if after some time, if nobody picks him up, I could see him coming back to the Knicks. He's good in
What
the
will be
locker
his
room. They
role
love
though?
him.
You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm
He's
saying.
Udonis has him. Just think of Udonis has him. Realistically, I mean, if he's
Detriment.
willing to accept that, if he's not, that's a
Okay.
different story. But his role would be kind of like Udonis has him, and I mean, his son plays AAU basketball. I think he plays for the New York Rens, and he's doing well there. So
Mm,
I think D Rose would probably just say, look, I'll stay here, take the vet minimum, and help the team and be there for the guys in that regard, so he can also be around his son, you
mm,
know, in that regard, because they showed a video of he was at one of his son's games and he was sitting there, his son's diving all over the place, and he's kind of helping his son up, and I was like, oh, that's when I was like, oh, it's his son, he's playing AAU, and his son was, fairly good. So I mean,
mm.
that's if he doesn't get an offer from somewhere else. Right now, it's early. I think somebody will probably end up giving him a contract. You know, something the Knicks can't afford. So
It definitely, I don't
Mhm.
think he's going to come back for much. Even unlike other teams, I think he's just going to go for like not even for the vets minimum, just like I think they call it the biannual exception, was around $1 to $4 million a year. So I think that's where his value is at now. But I think we've gone our I shouldn't say our limit, but I think we've gone around 2.5 hours. There's no other major news unless something breaks within the next minute. I think we'll wrap it up. I'm gonna start with Angry John, then Coach Ed, and then Kenny from Unpopular Opinion Sports for final thoughts.
First off, Coach Ed, Kenny, thank you guys for joining this the NBA
Pleasure.
first
My
day of
pleasure. My
free
pleasure.
agency. Um, Appreciate you guys coming on and talking basketball, and I definitely hope you guys are back sooner than later. And also thanks to the chat tonight and all your comments, questions, and any other remarks that you guys had. And as for the for my New York Knicks, I like Coach Ed pretty much in Leighton's turn said, don't do anything stupid. Um, don't go after, don't go trade your assets for a big quote unquote star. Build the team the right way.
Mhm.
Let them grow and develop. Let them get more team chemistry. Especially bring a lot of the same guys back. If you want to make a signing or here or there, fine, but don't drastically reconstruct this team. It's not the year to do so.
Yep. Coach Ed?
First of all, thanks guys for having me. I really appreciate it. This was outstanding. Nothing but love and respect for you guys. Definitely will be back. Talking to you guys about basketball, sports in general. Be looking to have you along with some of the ventures I have going on. Chat, you guys were phenomenal, funny. Intelligent. Bringing it. I love it. So make sure if you haven't already done so, you subscribe to all these content creators. Make sure you guys hit the like button. Always hit the like button and always share on all your social media platforms. Help everybody to grow because we really appreciate and love you guys for the help. As far as the NBA, I mean, it's not as exciting as it has been and explosive as it has been in the past. But as NYG said, that's going to be the product of the new CBA, and we need to really start getting used to that. Because of the layers associated and the penalties. So, yes, teams need to draft well and develop well and have the right coaches in place to
Yep.
develop.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't, teams need to start identifying that. And you know what? Brush the coaches out of the way who's not going to help, develop the guys. And look, you got guys like Kenny Atkinson. Yes, he's picking and choosing, but he's already proven he can develop talent.
Right.
And if you just stick with him, he's already won a championship, so he knows what it takes to get there. And I'm not just speaking just for him, but my point being is look for the right type of coaches that can fit what you're looking for as an organization and fit your culture as a whole. And if you're dysfunctional, Dolan, just get the right people and get out of the way. Let them do what they're supposed to do and be smart. Like the Maras. I mean, NYG knows what I'm talking about. We talked about Mara, and what he did this past year was turn over the keys and let them drive,
Yeah.
and look where you're at, and it's proven it works. So,
Yeah.
but thanks again, everyone. I really appreciate you guys. Peace and blessings to you all.
Can he take it away?
Most definitely, man. Peace to you, Coach, man. Peace to you, Luca. Peace to you, John. Appreciate y'all for having me on. You know what I'm saying? Talking some basketball, man. That's one of my passions, man. Coach knows, man. I'm a big hooper, man. You know what I'm saying? Grew up in the era in Brooklyn, man. I am a Nets fan. As far as the Nets, Cam Johnson was a necessary move, and I definitely think that they just need to, again, kind of like you guys have elaborated on, don't do nothing dumb. Don't go for Dame Lillard. Don't go for, the big name star. That's not how this thing is moving right now. You got to develop young talent. They have young talent on the roster. They retained some of their young talent, got rid of some of the old guys that wasn't working out, and I think we're moving in the right direction, man. And as far as everybody else is concerned, man, hey, man, this is the NBA, man. Things can turn on a whim. So definitely stay tuned to my man, Luca, John, Coach, myself, man, bringing you all the latest news, man. Definitely appreciate you guys.
Yes, fellas. If you haven't already, hit the like button, subscribe, do all the good stuff, comment. We've appreciated all your comments. Subscribe to these guys' channels. They do an excellent job. Members of the Big Blue crew, Giants content, basketball content as well, especially for Kenny, Nets content, Coach Ed, Knicks content, all that good stuff. Alex is going to have a roster bubble video as a part of his roster bubble series tonight, part of the Giants content and the countdown to training camp, which obviously for Jets fans, it's a little earlier. Giants fans, it's a little bit later, a couple days later, should I say. But I know I'm gearing up for football season. I think everybody else is too, as NBA free agency is still here regardless. Peace, y'all. See you later. Have a good one.